You just have a look on the cutoff of the previous years. If I tell you here in 2019, the cutoff was 98. This is the general cutoff, and in 2020 prelims cutoff came down to 92.51, and in 2021 cutoff came to 87.54. Many people predicted it more than 90, but it was down. So you can see that cutoff is coming down since last 3 years. In OBC cutoff was 84.85. In economically weaker section last year cutoff was 80.14, and for SC it was 75.41, and for ST it was less. In every case the cutoff is lower than the previous year cutoff. Now when I talk about the expected cutoff of this year, then in 2022, this year the expected cutoff is 84 plus minus 2 marks. It may be 83 marks, or it may be 84 marks, or it may be 85 marks. For EWS it may be in the range of 79 marks. For OBC we are expecting cutoff will be in the range of 81, and SC category it may be 70 marks and 65 marks plus minus 2 marks. So this year we are expecting lower cutoff as compared to last year. The reason is very simple. Difficulty level of GS paper is high, and difficulty level of the CSAT paper is also more as compared to last year. Since last 3 years CSAT is found difficult. In 2020, 2021 and in again 2022 the difficulty is more. So all of you who have appeared this year must be curious to know what can be expected cutoff and the answers. So the solutions and answers will be given by concerned teachers, and they are now going to follow me. If we see subject wise how many questions have come from which area, then from economy this year 17 questions, whereas last year 15 questions. From the section of environment, which has become really important since last couple of years, you can see it was 16, 16, 16 in the last 3 years, but this year the weightage gone up. Geography this year is lesser as compared to last year. Last year it was 14, before that 12, and this year it has 8 questions, so it has come down. History 15 questions this year as compared to 20 questions last year. Number of questions have come down, but the difficulty level is high here also. Difficulty level is higher in most of the areas other than polity. As per teachers, polity is relatively average, but other areas seems to be tougher. So polity number of questions 9, and the number of questions have come down. Science and technology, including science, this is general science, it is 11 questions as compared to last year. And the areas IR, society, current affairs, governance and miscellaneous. So these questions have increased to 18, and these questions are again difficult and as compared to the other years. So in UPSC the areas are not static, and you will not find the pattern is same. It keeps on changing. Some new type of questions have been introduced, and we can also see the average weightage. This is average weightage of the last 6 years. So last 6 years average and this year how it is changing. Economy last 6 years average is 22, but this year is 17. Environment last 6 years average 15, this year 22. Geography 11, now it is 8. History was 18, here it is 15. Polity is 14, and here it is 9. And science tech 12, and here it is 11. And miscellaneous including current affairs, IR, society, governance, it is 18 questions this year, which are more than the earlier years. So this year relatively current based questions have increased. Now after this I will invite the teachers for the economics engineering, for the economics. So for the economy portion Vibhas sir and Kapuria sir will take, then will be followed by geography and then polity and the related areas. all the next IAS teachers who have taught here, they are going to discuss the probable solutions, whatever the nearest possible answers they will share. Apart from that, CSAT discussion will start after completion of the general studies discussion, and I hope this will help you in analyzing your performance and you will be able to find whether you are in the range of qualifying the prelims or not. Accordingly, you can plan. For the next IAS students, I would like to say that if you are planning to go for the mains and you want any kind of support, then we will provide and you can contact us immediately after next day or maybe from Monday or Tuesday onward. So thank you very much. Now I will invite the for the discussion of economy to the Vibhas sir and Kapuria sir. Just wait.
A very good evening to all of you and a warm welcome from Next IAS's side. So we will begin discussion on economy. We will not be taking a lot of time. The idea is just to give you a basic input on how these answers should have been done. ज़्यादा वक्त नहीं लूँगा मैं, आपको बेसिक इनपुट देता जाऊंगा कि कैसे ये आंसर्स आपको करने चाहिए थे. तो पहला सवाल था इकोनॉमी से, रैपिड फाइनेंसिंग इंस्ट्रूमेंट एंड रैपिड क्रेडिट फैसिलिटी आर रिलेटेड टू द प्रोविजंस ऑफ लेंडिंग बाय विच वन ऑफ द फॉलोइंग. द आंसर विल बी इंटरनेशनल मॉनेटरी फंड. इसका आंसर इंटरनेशनल मॉनेटरी फंड होगा. 2016 से ये शुरू हुआ और अभी न्यूज में था बिकॉज ऑफ श्रीलंकाज फाइनेंसिंग दैट IMF वाज नेगोशिएटिंग ऑन. तो इसीलिए रैपिड इन्वेस्टमेंट फंड and the rapid financing instrument, rapid credit facility and rapid financing instrument was based on that. So it was in news because of that we came along. The second question that you see, is with reference to the Indian economy, consider the following statement. अब ये question में पता है क्या है? In this question, they are not telling us whether they are taking nominal effective exchange rate as rupee by dollar or dollar by rupee. So this question becomes a little tricky in that case. Now, if we go by the normal convention, then it has to be rupee by dollar. But in many cases, including RBI website, it is dollar by rupee. तो मैं आपको concept से ये समझा देता हूँ कि इसका आंसर आपको क्या लिखना चाहिए. और अगर हम ये माने कि RBI जो है वो डॉलर बाय रूपी की तरह मानते हैं, अगर रूपी बाय डॉलर की तरह मानते हैं तो कैसे जाएगा. तो आप देखो, एन इंक्रीज इन नॉमिनल इफेक्टिव एक्सचेंज रेट इंडिकेट्स अप्रिसिएशन ऑफ रूपी. आप समझना ये बात, अगर नॉमिनल इफेक्टिव एक्सचेंज रेट रूपी बाय डॉलर के टर्म्स में होता, रूपी बाय फॉरेन एक्सचेंज रेट, तो उस केस में एन इंक्रीज विल मीन डेप्रिसिएशन ऑफ रूपी, डेप्रिसिएशन ऑफ रूपी. और अगर आप नॉमिनल इफेक्टिव एक्सचेंज रेट को मानते हो as dollar by rupee, if you take nominal effective exchange rate as dollar by rupee, which as I said RBI website also takes, then in that case an increase will mean appreciation of rupee. तो ये एक trick part है. Again, UPSC asks these kind of questions at times where they don't clarify exactly how it will be. So if you come by this again, so if we look into the question, it says that an increase in nominal effective exchange rate indicates appreciation of rupee. तो ये मैं RBI के वेबसाइट को फॉलो कर रहा हूँ. If we take it as dollar by rupee, then it will be a correct statement that it will result in appreciation of rupee. An increase in the real effective exchange rate indicates an improvement in trade competitiveness. By same logic, this will not be true because if real effective exchange rate is rising, it means my domestic bundles are becoming costlier. मेरे जो डोमेस्टिक बंडल हैं वो कॉस्टली हो रहे हैं, और अगर मेरे डोमेस्टिक बंडल कॉस्टली हो रहे हैं तो मैं ऑब्वियसली मेरे एक्सपोर्ट्स पिकअप नहीं करेंगे और इन टर्म्स मेरी ट्रेड कॉम्पिटिटिवनेस नहीं बढ़ेगी. An increasing trend in domestic inflation relative to inflation in other countries is likely to cause an increasing divergence between near and rear. Remember, जो real effective exchange rate है वो है nominal exchange rate upon into price in domestic territory upon price in foreign, assuming the nominal effective exchange rate as dollar by rupee. तो अगर nominal effective exchange rate को dollar by rupee मानता हूँ तो PT by PF ये होगा real exchange rate के केस में. तो सोचो, if this divergence increases, if my inflation goes on becoming higher and higher, then the divergence between nominal exchange rate and real exchange rate will become higher and higher. So that is why again the answer will be correct here. So your answer will be C, where 1 and 3 are correct. Question number 2, your answer will be C, where 1 and 3 are correct. So that's another factor that we can keep in mind then. The next question that I am discussing with you is, which of the following activities constitute real sector in the economy? Now, this was again a good question. This was a question where they were testing your concept that which activities contain real sector in the economy. So, in this question now, they are asking us, that when it is the nominal exchange rate, the real activities, farmers harvesting their crops, this is again something which is a real activity. Real मतलब जो output को affect करे, जो आपके production को affect करे. Nominal मतलब जो money या finance से related हो. Nominal will be related to money or finance. Real will be related to output. So farmers harvesting their crops is real activity. Textile mills converting raw cotton into fabrics is real activity. Both of these are real activity. Commercial bank lending money to a trading company is a financial or a nominal activity, and corporate body issuing rupee denominated bonds overseas is again a financial or a nominal activity. So your answer will be A, 1 and 2 statement are correct. Your answer will be A, 1 and 2 statement are correct. It was a good question testing your basic idea on whether you understand the notions of nominal or real or not. All right. Then the next question they asked us, which one of the following situations best reflects indirect transfers often talked about in media recently? Now, ये question pick किया था उन्होंने retrospective tax reforms से. That government recently retrospectively taxed the reform, and in that case they said an Indian company investing in a foreign enterprise, not correct. It is related to a foreign company transferring shares where they are gaining in India, but they are deliberately transferring it in order to not pay the taxes in India. So your answer is D. This was the controversy in the Vodafone case, that the foreign currency company transfers shares and such shares derive their entire value from the assets located in India. So that was the point that we should take care of, that this is not the D part is correct. इसलिए क्योंकि ये वोडाफोन केस से रिलेटेड था और अभी सरकार ने retrospective taxation का amendment किया. So the logic of this question was that. So your answer will be D here on. Then the next question that I discuss with you is 9th. With reference to expenditure made by an organization or a company, reference to expenditure made by an organization or a company, which of the following statements are correct? Acquiring new technology is capital expenditure. Absolutely right, because technology, buying a building, buying a new kind of machine, all these count as capital expenditure. Remember, this is asked with the view of organization or a company, तो सरकारी budget की बात नहीं सोचनी थी यहाँ. You didn't have to think about government budget. This was asked with respect to an organization or a company. So then that was another. Then it says debt financing is considered capital expenditure while equity financing is considered revenue expenditure. ये statement गलत है. Equity financing is also a contribution to capital. It is not considered as revenue expenditure. यही एक गलत बात हो गई. Because of this, the second statement goes wrong. अगर ये नहीं लिखा होता कि equity financing is revenue expenditure, तो statement सही होता. If it had not been written that equity financing is revenue expenditure, the statement would have been right. But because they write equity financing is revenue expenditure, ये statement गलत हो गया. तो फिर क्या सही आंसर है हमारा? A. Why? Because statement A1 is right, statement 2 is wrong. So that is the basic idea on question number 9 that you had to keep in mind. The next one then, question number 10. With reference to Indian economy, consider the following statements. ये question उन्होंने RBI के FAQs से put up किया था. अभी recently RBI ने अपना report present किया. Recently the RBI presented its report. This question was picked up from that report that RBI had presented. So, you know what? The question they ask you is, with reference to Indian economy, consider the following statements. A share of the household financial savings goes towards government borrowings. Correct. Because of the retail direct scheme that RBI has now introduced, this has become even more obvious कि households के जो savings हैं, उनका एक part of RBI के through government के securities खरीदने में जाएगा. So since households are now allowed to buy government securities, so one becomes one of the answers. The second is, dated securities issued at market related rates in auctions form a large component of internal debt. They do. 71% actually is according to the RBI FAQ report. जो RBI का FAQ report है वो ये बताता है कि सरकार की जो dated securities हैं, long term securities हैं, which are going for more than 1 year and all, they represent this, you know, the retail, the largest form of the share. So both 1 and 2 are correct here. The answer will be 10C. Both 1 and 2 are correct here. The answer will be 10C. Then, you know, the next part, this was another interesting thing about this year's paper, that they gave 10 questions on economy and then they jumped, and then again after 50 questions there were again few questions from economy. Normally वो questions एक साथ देते हैं, इस बार उन्होंने थोड़ा ऊपर नीचे करके दिया. Now see, the next one, consider the following statement. Now, you know, again this statement, this question, which was based on the external commercial borrowings and all, also has its own controversy. Please keep that in mind. Because, you know, they asked the question, but they have not been very clear in their language. ये अपने language में बहुत clear नहीं है. फिर भी मैं आपको एक अपने हिसाब से दोनों ही point of view समझा दूंगा कि क्या answer हो सकता था. So, the question that they ask us is, tight monetary policy of US Federal Reserve could lead to capital flight. अब बेहतर होता अगर यहाँ लिखा होता from other economies or from India, तो ये आंसर ज्यादा बेहतर लग रहा होता. If it was written that it is from other economies or from India, क्योंकि यूएस के फेडरल रिजर्व के मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी टाइटनिंग से वहां इंटरेस्ट रेट बढ़ेगा और उससे हमारे यहां से पैसे निकलेंगे, उनके यहां से नहीं. So then if the question would have been better if that was clear, but as whatever with my experience in this field, मेरा यही सजेशन है कि यही इंटरप्रिटेशन होना चाहिए, that will lead to capital flight from other economies, considering this statement as correct. Capital flight may increase the interest cost of firms with existing external commercial borrowings. ये इसको गलत कर देता है. It cannot increase it for the existing external commercial borrowings. The reason is very simple. It cannot increase it for existing external commercial borrowings because the rate of returns are fixed. Plus the capital flight will mean that there will be liquidity surplus abroad. तो अगर बाहर liquidity बढ़ रहा है क्योंकि देश हमारे देश से जा रहा है बाहर, तो उस केस में बाहर liquidity बढ़ेगी और उस केस में वहां interest rate कम होने चाहिए, बढ़ने नहीं, अगर floating interest rate भी सोचें. But you don't have to think that much. आप बस existing पे concentrate करो and this statement goes wrong. Then devaluation of domestic currency decreases the currency risk associated with ECBs. This statement is correct क्योंकि जब आप domestic currency devalue करते हो, when you devalue, the devaluation mind you is a fixed exchange rate phenomena. नहीं तो depreciation लिखा होता, floating exchange. यहाँ market नहीं कर रहा है currency को depreciate, government कर रही है, RBI कर रही है, आपके देश की सेंट्रल बैंक कर रही है. So if the central bank of the country decides to devalue the currency, it means कि जो आपके करेंसी के ऊपर रिस्क आता है because of the expected devaluation, वो खत्म कर दिया आपके RBI ने by actually devaluing it. So the currency risk that you run because of the expected devaluation of the currency, the central bank of your country has removed that currency risk because by actually devaluing it, and that means that the third statement becomes correct. So your answer should be C, 1 and 3 only. Your answer should be C, 1 and 3 only. The next question that they asked us, question number 63, they said consider the following statements, and again these were questions where they were actually testing you in whether you have understood all the terms better or not. So they say consider the following statement. In India, credit rating agencies are regulated by Reserve Bank of India. यही गलत statement है, SEBI है correct statement यहाँ. the credit rating agencies are regulated by SEBI. अगर तुम ये पहला statement सही समझ गए कि ये statement गलत है, this statement is not a correct statement, then it will imply very easily that you will be able to mark the correct answer B, क्योंकि बाकी तीनों में ये 1 था. तो ऐसे elimination से भी हम बच सकते हैं. If you know the first question first statement well कि ये नहीं SEBI answer है, 1 is wrong, other 3 options had 1 in it, it implies 2 and 3, I mean has to be the answer. So your answer will be 2 and 3 because the rating agency ICRA has gone public last year, 2019 में public गए ये, and the Brickwork Ratings is an Indian company in Bengaluru. So that is why it is the statements 2 and 3 are correct, statement 1 is incorrect in this. The next one that they ask us, is with reference to the Bank Board Bureau. अब ये सारे क्वेश्चंस जो जैसे रूपी डॉलर एक्सचेंज रेट पे हैं, बैंक बोर्ड ब्यूरो पे है, कुछ क्वेश्चंस आप जो लोग नेक्स्ट आईएएस में पढ़े हो आप देखे होंगे कि आपने इनको क्लास में भी किया था. सो इफ यू सी बैंक बोर्ड ब्यूरो, अगेन दिस वाज अ क्वेश्चन which easily can be solved if you just answer the first one, that the governor of RBI is not the chairman of Bank Board Bureau. यही statement गलत है. Again, the first statement is wrong. Governor of RBI is not the chairman of Bank Board Bureau, and that means and that is the basic idea that you have to keep in mind. अगर कुछ ना याद हो, अगर कभी ये भी याद हो जाए कि जो विनोद राय थे वो बैंक बोर्ड ब्यूरो के चेयरमैन थे पहले, उससे भी आपका काम चल जाएगा. राइट नाउ इट इज भूषण प्रताप जी. नाउ दैट मींस गवर्नर ऑफ आरबीआई इज द चेयरमैन ऑफ बीबीबी इज इनकरेक्ट. अगेन देखो ए, सी और डी में 1 दे रखा है करेक्ट में, obviously वो आंसर नहीं होगा. your answer will be 2 and 3 because BBB does recommend for the selection of heads. recommend है, choose नहीं करते, recommend करते हैं. and then BBB helps the public sector banks in developing strategies and capital raising plans. ये BBB के रोल में बढ़ोतरी की गई थी 2018 से. So Bank Board Bureau was given an additional responsibility to direct the banks on capital raising plans and public going strategies, and that is your option 2 and 3. So B is the correct option with respect to the Bank Board Bureau. The next question that they ask you, in India, which one of the following compiles, अब ये factual question था, और ये question इसलिए था क्योंकि labor market continuously news में रहा है. That is why this question was being asked. So the question was, in India, which one of the following compiles information on industrial disputes, closures, retrenchments and layoffs? अब देखो important क्या है, in factories employing workers. तो इसके अंदर लेबर ब्यूरो आंसर है. Labor Bureau is the body which concedes all these information. So this is what you have to stick to. Labor Bureau is your answer. Labor Bureau is the body which conducts all these informations. All right. So ये factual था. ये या तो आप जानते होते हो या नहीं जानते होते हो. Normally मेरा suggestion होता है, अब तो खैर आपका एग्जाम हो गया, लेकिन हमेशा के लिए याद रखा करो that if these factuals either you know, mark it correct, get ahead. नहीं जानते हो, टाइम खराब मत करो, आगे बढ़ो. सोचने से नहीं स्ट्राइक करती ये बातें, ये या तो हमें पता होती हैं या नहीं पता होती. And then there was another question in India. What is the role of Coal Controllers Organization? Again, this was asked because coal was in news and continuously it was being said that the Ministry of Coal is responsible for timely delivery of coal. Coal India Limited is responsible for timely delivery of coal. तो बस वही एक wrong statement था. It ensures that coal mining companies deliver the coal. ये गलत है. ये Coal Controllers Organization का काम नहीं है. It is a source of coal statistics to the government of India. That is a correct statement that you can put across. It monitors progress of development of captive coal lignite blocks. Captive coal का मतलब वो companies जो अपने यूज के लिए कोल माइंस को माइन कर रहे हैं. Companies in steel, companies in power generation which use coal for their own purposes. So it monitors progress of development of captive coal lignite blocks and it hears any objection to the government's notification relating to acquisition of coal bearing areas. ये 2012 के सुप्रीम कोर्ट ऑर्डर का नतीजा था कि ये ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बनाकर ये राइट दिया गया उनको that any objection to government's notification on acquisition of coal bearing areas will also be under the purview of CCO. So your answer will be 1, 2 and 3, that is A option as correct. So these are the questions that I had to discuss with you on economics. I hope you have had a great exam. Relax well, do well in things, and by chance, even if you are not very confident about the mains, please start preparing for mains within next 7 days. 7 दिन का रेस्ट लो और मेंस की तैयारी में लग जाओ. जो भी सपोर्ट आपको नेक्स्ट आईएएस से चाहिए, आप जरूर हमें अप्रोच करो. वी आर विलिंग टू हेल्प यू आउट. ऑल द बेस्ट. सी यू सून. थैंक यू.
My dear friends, the answer to this question would be B, that is 2 and 3, because if inflation is too high, Reserve Bank of India is likely to buy government securities, not buy, sell government securities. So 1 is wrong, 2 is correct, because if rupee is rapidly depreciating, RBI is likely to sell dollars in the market to prevent that depreciation. Similarly, if interest rates in the US or European Union were to fall, when the interest rates fall, dollars will come into India and emerging markets. So when dollars come into India, naturally RBI would start buying those dollars. So that is the explanation. I'll repeat for all of you. Choice 1 is wrong, because when inflation is high, RBI is likely to sell government securities in order to absorb liquidity from banks, not buy. So 1 choice is wrong. The answer is B, which is 2 and 3 only, because the explanation is when rupee is depreciating rapidly, RBI is likely to buy dollars in the market. All right. RBI is likely to sell dollars in order to prevent the depreciation. Right. That is correct. Then if interest rates in the US are falling, then they fall, more dollars will come into India and emerging markets. When more dollars come, RBI will be induced to buy those dollars. So please, choice B is correct as far as question number 3 is concerned. We move on to question number 5, and question number 5 says, question number 5 is government can this is you remember we had done inflation index bonds. Inflation index bonds are bonds which government may introduce at the time when inflation rate is going to be high. So these bonds may be used to protect vulnerable sections, senior citizens and their savings. So these bonds were issued in 2014. Government had proposed that if inflation goes up, it may come out with these bonds again. So 2 things, the answer here would be, the correct answer here would be choice A, that is 1 and 2, because government can reduce the coupon rates on its borrowings by way of IIBs. Coupon rate means the interest rate. If there is disinflation, if inflation rate comes down, obviously the interest rate also would correspondingly come down. So government has the option that in case inflation comes down, the coupon rate, the word coupon here means interest rate on bonds that it issues will automatically come down, because inflation index bonds are bonds which offer a rate of interest a certain percentage over and above the prevailing rate of inflation. So at any given point of time, if inflation is coming down, obviously even the coupon rate, the interest rate would also automatically come down. And secondly, what was the fundamental objective of issuing any such bonds would be choice 2. It will provide protection to the investors from uncertainty regarding inflation. And these investors would generally be those who are savers. I mean, common investors like senior citizens, small savers, fixed income earners, all right. Choice 3 is wrong, because RBI's website very clearly says that interest income, of course, would be subjected to tax, but not capital gains. Hence, choice 3 is wrong. I am quoting the website of the Reserve Bank of India, which very clearly talks about these inflation index bonds and states that while interest that you receive on these bonds would be subjected to tax, capital gains on these bonds will not be subjected to tax. Hence, choice 3 is wrong. So the correct answer would be A, that is 1 and 2. All right. We move on to question number 6 because I am addressing questions which are within my topics. Question number 6. My dear friends, kindly recall when we were doing this topic in the class. I have done this topic in details. I have given you foreign direct investment policy of the Government of India in respect of e-commerce companies. If you recall, I have dictated to you also that e-commerce companies are called marketplaces, right? So they can sell their own goods in addition to offering their platform as no, that is wrong. The choice, the correct answer is B, that is 2 only. You remember, look up your notes, I dictated that the degree to which they can own big sellers on their platforms is limited. I told you they are not allowed to hold, they can own big sellers on their platform is, I told you they are not allowed to own inventory of the sellers who sell goods through their platform. And I told you, if a seller were to sell more than 25% of his inventory through the platform of an e-commerce company, that inventory would be deemed to be controlled by a foreign e-commerce company. So choice 2 is correct, which means the answer would be B. Then in my topics, I have question number 65. Question number 65, yes. Question number 65 is, now please see question number 65. Both the choices are correct. The answer would be both 1 and 2. I will explain it to you. What are convertible bonds? There are 2 types of bonds. Convertible bonds, non-convertible bonds. Convertible bonds means that when a company issues these bonds, it gives an offer to those who are investing in these bonds that certain percentage or certain number of these bonds can be converted into shares of the company, right? So these are called convertible bonds. Non-convertible bonds are bonds where company straight away takes loan through bonds, doesn't give any offer to investors to convert these bonds into some shares. So these are convertible bonds. So the answer that as there is an option to exchange the bond for equity, convertible bonds pay a lower rate of interest. That is absolutely correct, because you have the option that you can convert these bonds into shares of the company. Hence obviously the company would give you a lower rate of interest because it is giving the offer of converting them into shares. Then the option to convert to equity, that is shares, affords the bond holder a degree of indexation to rising consumer prices. Obviously, because the moment you have the option to convert your bonds into shares of the company, right, even if inflation takes place, bonds will give you a fixed rate of interest, but shares price goes higher along with rate of inflation. Hence, the option 2 is also correct. Option 1 and option 2 both are correct, and hence the answer is C. I will repeat the explanation. First thing first, let me explain to you very simply that bonds issued by a company can be of 2 types: convertible bonds, non-convertible bonds. Convertible bonds are, the very word convertible means that any investor who invests in these bonds would be given the option that you can convert a certain portion of these bonds or whole of these bonds into some shares of the company, right? That being so, if there is this option, convertible bonds pay, obviously the company knows that since it is offering them shares, so it will pay a lower rate of interest. Even at lower rate of interest, investors would invest because they have this liberty of converting them into shares. Option number 2, let me explain. Since you have the option to convert bonds into shares, right, while bonds offer a fixed rate of interest and they are not a hedge against inflation, when inflation takes place and if you have shares, prices of shares also go up. Hence, you have a degree of indexation. You are protected against rising consumer prices also. Hence, the answer is both 1 and 2, that is C. And my last question in respect of the topics that I am doing with you is the simplest. The answer is the simplest. That is question number 68. In India, which one of the following is responsible for maintaining price stability by controlling inflation? This is the simplest of the answers. Reserve Bank of India. It's not Department of Consumers Affairs, it's not Expenditure Management Commission, it's not Finance, it is the Reserve Bank of India. I told you that's a monetary authority, the Reserve Bank of India, right? It does so by hiking the repo rate, by hiking the CRR, like it has done in the last few days. All right. So, my dear friends, I wish you the best, and I hope you can compare the answers that you may have given with what I have given you as correct answers by way of a key issued and prepared by our institute, the NEXT IAS. You rest assured, you have the best answers and the right answers with you. So, my best wishes to all of you. ठीक है बेटा?
So let us begin with the IR related questions, and this time it's a welcome trend that after a long gap we are seeing many questions from IR. That is questions related to your geography from IR, questions related to current events and some basic questions. So let us take the questions. Some of the questions I will be taking, geography related IR questions would be taken by the concerned faculty, and some current affairs questions would be taken by the concerned faculty. So I will be taking some of the questions of IR right now. So let us see question number 66. I have paper set A with me. So question number 66 is, consider the following: Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, Missile Technology Control Regime, Shanghai Cooperation Organization. India is a member of which of the above? So, Asia Infrastructure Investment Bank, India is one of the largest recipient of Asia Infrastructure Bank, and India is also one of the second most important member in Asia Infrastructure Bank. We have a shareholding there. Then India is a member of Asia Infrastructure Investment Bank. Missile Technology Control Regime, yes, we are into this group. And SCO, we are a member of Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So all the three are correct. So India is a member of which of the following above? So 1, 2 and 3. The right answer is D. Now let us see the next question. That is question number 67. Consider the following statements. Vietnam has been one of the fastest growing economies in the world in the recent years. Number 2, Vietnam is led by a multi-party political system. Vietnam's economic growth is linked to its integration with global supply chains and focus on exports. Number 4, for a long time, Vietnam's low labor cost and stable exchange rates have attracted global manufacturers. Number 5, Vietnam has the most productive e-service sector in the Indo-Pacific region. Which of the following statements given above are correct? So Vietnam has been one of the fastest growing economies in the world in the recent years. That is what the World Bank report also is talking about. So this statement is correct. Vietnam is led by a multi-party political system. This is wrong because Vietnam is a communist country. So there is only one party, that is your Communist Party of Vietnam. Vietnam's economic growth is linked to its integration with global supply chains and focus on exports. Yes, it is highly integrated with the global supply chain, so this is correct. For a long time, Vietnam's low labor cost and stable exchange rates have attracted global manufacturers, so this is also correct. Vietnam has the most productive e-service sector in the Indo-Pacific region. The most is the catchword here. It is one of the most productive, but it is not the most productive e-service sector. So the correct is, your 1 is correct, 3 is correct and 4 is correct. So we have C as the answer. 78. This is again question number 78. Okay. Now this is a question which is related to your UN, but this is not a question which everybody generally can do in the examination, because this is a very specific question with respect to your observer status and all. So let us see the question. With a reference to the United Nations General Assembly, consider the following statements. Number 1, the UN General Assembly can grant observer status to the non-member states. Number 2, intergovernmental organizations can seek observer status in the UN General Assembly. Number 3, permanent observers in the UN General Assembly can maintain missions at the United Nations headquarters. So with this UN General Assembly, yes, the UN General Assembly can grant observer status to the non-member states. This is correct. Intergovernmental organizations can seek observer status. Yes, they can seek observer status. Permanent observers in the UN General Assembly can maintain, they can maintain. So all the 3 are correct. The answer is D. Now let us move to the next question. Question number 83. Consider the following countries. So consider the following countries. Now let us see the question. Consider the following countries: Armenia, Azerbaijan, Croatia, Romania and Uzbekistan. Which of the above are members of the Organization of Turkic States? Turkic states, this Turkish thing is in the news, and especially after Erdogan, this Turkic group is becoming more and more prominent, and they are looking for, they are greatly evolving also. So that is why this Turkic states group has been in the news, and in the month of this year only, in the month of February and March somewhere, they have one meeting also where they have decided how to further evolve the group. So it was in the news. So consider the following countries: Armenia, Azerbaijan, Croatia, Romania and Uzbekistan. So we have Azerbaijan as a member and we have Uzbekistan as a member, and this group was formed in 2009. So the correct answer is 2 and 5. That is your C is the correct answer. Now let us see the next question. Next question is question number 86. So let us see the question. Okay. Which of the following statements best reflect the issue between Senkaku Islands, sometimes mentioned in the news? So this island dispute between countries, Senkaku, which is also called as Diaoyu Islands in China. So this is a dispute between China and Japan, and it is often in the news. So this is a very easy, straightforward question. So which one of the following statements best reflect the issue with Senkaku Islands, which are also referred to as Dekaku Islands in China? So it is generally believed that they are artificial islands made by a country around South China Sea. No, they are not the artificial islands created in the South China Sea by China. Those are other islands like Paracel or Scarborough Shoal. So this is wrong. China and Japan engage in maritime disputes over these islands. Yes, this is the correct statement. A permanent American military base, not a correct statement. Though International Court of Justice declared them as no man's land, it is also not correct. So it is a dispute between China and Japan in East China Sea, and presently it is under the administrative control of Japan. So the correct answer is B. Now let us see question number 87. Next question. Now, okay. Consider the following pairs country important reasons for being in the news recently. Chad, setting up of permanent military bases by China. Number 2, Guyana, suspension of constitution and government by military. Number 3, Lebanon, severe and prolonged economic depression. And number 4, Tunisia, suspension of parliament by president. So consider the following pairs. Chad, of course, China is trying to set up a permanent military base in Chad for last 1.5 years, but it is yet to establish one. Right now, China is having only one military base, and that is in Djibouti. So China has set up, this is wrong. China is planning to set up, so that way we can say it is not correct. In that sense, it is planning, but it is yet to establish a military base at Chad. Guyana, suspension of constitution, yes, Guyana was in the news for this. Lebanon, of course, the prolonged economic depression is there. There have been reports by World Bank, IMF also, yes, that is correct. Tunisia, Of course, Tunisia was in the news after the Arab Spring, and 2014 we have seen advent of democracy and people getting the Nobel Peace Prize. But again, now it is in the news because of the suspension of parliament by president. So this is also correct. So except for 1, 2, 3 and 4 are correct. How many pairs given above are correctly matched? Only 1 pair, only 2, only 3 pairs, all 4 pairs. So it is only 3 pairs. But one thing is there, China is planning, but again we have to be very clear that China is yet to formally establish a military base in Chad. So that is why we are making it incorrect. So 2, 3 and 4, only 3 pairs are correct. Answer is C. Now let us move on to the next question of IR. Consider the following Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, Missile Technology Control Regime, Shanghai Cooperation Organization. India is a member of which of the above? India is a member of AIIB, India is a member of MTCR, and India is a member of SCO. So all of them are correct. So answer is D. All of them are correct. Again, 67 question. 67 question is with respect to, okay. Now consider the following statements. Vietnam has been one of the fastest growing economies in the world in the recent years. Of course, we have seen World Bank report, we have seen IMF talking about it, and this question is correct. Vietnam is led by a multi-party political system. No, this is not a multi-party system. There is a Communist Party of Vietnam, that is the party there. So this is wrong. Vietnam's economic growth is linked to its integration with global supply chains and focus on exports. Of course, we know that Vietnam is highly integrated with the global supply chain. So this is correct. For a long time, Vietnam's low labor cost and stable exchange rates have attracted global manufacturers. So yes, this is correct. It has kept the labor cost was quite low for a long time, and it has a very stable exchange rate that has led to the growth of Vietnam. So this is correct. Number 5, Vietnam has the most productive e-service sector in the Indo-Pacific region. Of course, Vietnam is having one of the most productive e-service sector, but the most is something which we cannot say completely correct. So we rule it out, it is wrong. Now, which of the following statements given above are correct? So correct is 1, 3 and 4. So answer is C. Now question number 76. Question number 76. So let us again do question number 76. Now, with reference to the United Nations Credentials Committee, consider the following statements. It is a committee set up by the United Nations Security Council and works under its supervision. It traditionally meets in March, June and September every year. It assesses the credentials of all UN members before submitting a report to the General Assembly for approval. Now, which of the following statements given above is or are correct? So, it is a committee set up by the UN. Yahan tak to it is correct. It is a committee set up by UN, but not by Security Council, but by General Assembly. So, this is wrong. It traditionally meets in March, June and September. No, it meets in the month of October and November. October, November, somewhere it meets. So this is again wrong. It assesses the credentials of all UN members before submitting a report to the General Assembly for approval. That is correct, and that is why it was in the news, because of giving credentials to the Taliban. You know, after taking over of Afghanistan by Taliban, this committee has been in the news, and this is the correct statement. So only one statement is correct and the answer is A. Now question number 77. So question number 77 is, which one of the following statements best describes the polar code? It is the International Code of Safety for Ships Operating in Polar Waters. It is the agreement of the countries around the North Pole regarding the demarcation of their territories in the polar region. It is a set of norms to be followed by the countries whose scientists undertake research studies in the North Pole and the South Pole. It is a trade and security agreement of the members countries of the Arctic Council. So basically, Polar Code is related to the International Code of Safety for Ships and Operating in Polar region, polar waters. So statement A is correct. Only one statement is correct, that is A. So I think we have done all the questions with respect to IR, and thank you.
Good evening everyone. Myself Abhishek Parmar, and I will be discussing modern and medieval history questions of Civil Services exam, preliminary exam, which had been held today only. So let us start with the question number 51. And the question number 51 is based on Government of India Act 1919. This Government of India Act, it itself, this was announced, or it is also called as Montagu Chelmsford reforms. As you know, Montagu was the Secretary of State and Chelmsford was the Viceroy. Based on their report, which was submitted in the year 1918, this act had been introduced. And this act had a very important provision in which subjects were divided into two categories, reserved and transferred. And this is called as diarchy. This is known as diarchy, or also known as double government. So the provision of diarchy, it was introduced by the Government of India Act in 1919 in the provinces, and in the provinces subjects were classified into two categories based on the degree of importance. So the important subjects were called as reserved subjects and the lesser important subjects were called as transferred subjects, and this question has been asked regarding which all subjects are reserved in this category of subjects which have been listed here 1, 2, 3, 4. This is slightly difficult question because normally we try to understand the concept part and we do not go into such detail in remembering the subjects. But here, as I often tell you in the class also, that many a time questions can be handled through eliminating the option, and the option here is the clue. The option is that local self-government, this is the easiest option which was a part of the transferred. If you go with the option, here you can see that I have discussed this in the notes also. Is that okay? Yeah. See this part? Okay. More important subjects. Okay. This was given to the respective governors. It has been discussed in the class also. So the options, please show me the option. Just a second. The A, B, C and D. Okay, 2, 3, 4. You see 1, 2, 3, and this one is, इसको कैसे slide करें? 1, 2 and 4. Clear? So 2 is the easiest option. Local self-government is a part of the transferred part, and the question is demanding about the reserved. So we can eliminate this one, and the option is solely 1, 3 and 4. This is 1, 3 and 4. So answer C will be correct for the question number 51. Coming to question number 52, in medieval India the term phanum referred to, it refers to coins, and this is again, as far as this year history questions are concerned, they are a bit, particularly of the medieval India, they are a bit difficult question, because phanum, the root of this word is originally panam in Tamil. Okay. Phanum were the coins which came into popularity from the 13th century, and primarily the phanum coins circulated widely in South India in the state of Travancore or in Madras region. And originally it has, you can say the word had been derived from panam, and phanum is a more anglicized version. Anglicized version means coming from the English people, okay, they used to call it as phanum. So answer is B. Question number 53, consider the following freedom fighters. And who among them were associated with the Gadar party? So first of all class, you see Gadar party was established in 1913 at San Francisco, of the Anushilan Samiti, okay, which was established in 1902 at Calcutta. And Jogesh Chand Chatterjee, he was one among the founders of Hindustan Republican Army, HRA, which was established in 1924 at Kanpur. So, Ram Prasad Bismil, Jogesh Chatterjee and Sachindranath Sanyal. I often, while teaching you in the class, I often say please stick to the basic book, standard book. And going through the questions, as I can see here, I have found that these questions are so much, you can say, conceptual as well as factual, for which you should primarily rely on textbook. And I will give you a proof, okay, that like this question also, this has been asked from the Bipin Chandra, okay, India struggle for independence. You can go to the chapter, Bhagat Singh chapter, you will find the answers given in the Bipin Chandra. So please rely on the textbook, that will help you in the preparation of this exam. And more importantly, this Civil Services Preliminary exam is so wide and it covers so many things that you cannot be selective in approach while preparing for this exam. So, Baren Kumar Ghosh related to Anushilan Samiti, a revolutionary society. Jogesh Chand Chatterjee related to HRA. Ras Bihari Bose, he was related to this, what you can say, Ghadar party, and he was the man who was involved in throwing bomb on Harding in the year 1912 when the capital was shifted to Delhi. Clear? So, answer will be only 3. So, answer is D. Question number 53, answer will be D. Okay, this one, Ras Bihari Bose. Now, moving to the question number 54. Okay, question number 54. You see, first of all, question number 54 is about Cripps mission. Question number 54 is Cripps mission, which came in the month of March, returned in the month of April 1942. And there are 2-3 provisions of the Cripps mission. Here, primarily 3 provisions. 2 provisions had been asked, 1 provision has not been asked. That was about the dominion status after the war. You see, I have taught in the class itself also, and here is the Cripps mission, as it had come to get the support of the Indians, because this is the war time, this is the World War time going on, Second World War. And you can see the 3 provisions are there: dominion status after the war, which had not been asked here. A constituent assembly was to be created, okay, for drafting the constitution. A constituent assembly had to be created, whose members should be elected, okay, elected by provincial legislative assemblies and nominated by the rulers. But the question had, what you can say, is asking about what? Constituent assembly would have members nominated. This was the wrong thing. This was not correctly. It should be elected by the provincial assemblies as well as the, and this is from the princely states, it was nominated. Now see, if any province was not prepared to accept the new constitution, it would have the right to sign a separate agreement with Britain regarding its future status. That had been exactly copied here. Any province which was not prepared to accept the new constitution would have the right to sign a separate agreement. So this was a kind of hint towards separation. Okay, this was a hint towards fragmentation. That was the reason why Congress rejected the Cripps mission. So the mission failed, and the failure of the mission had been the reason for the Quit India movement. Interestingly, last prelims it was about a question on the Quit India movement. So answer here will be only B. That is only 2. Sorry. So B part. Question number 57. First of all, this question is about the Mongol invasion. Last year also prelims, you see, there was a question on Mongol invasion. This time also you will find a question on Mongol invasion, and you can do this question by just reading NCERT. It is given in the NCERT. The first Mongol invasion of India happened during the reign of Jalaluddin Khilji. Jalaluddin Khilji was in the period founder of 1290 to 96, founder of the Khilji Empire. Mongols had been invading India since the establishment of the Delhi Sultanate. Iltutmish also had to face the wrath or the anger of Genghis Khan, but Iltutmish was lucky that he did not give shelter to a man and he saved the empire. After this, 1221, okay, Genghis Khan had appeared on the bank of river Indus. After that, 20 years later, in 1241, Tair Bahadur, he led an attack. Okay. He led an attack on Delhi Sultanate, and during this time, if you see 1241, it was the rule of Nasiruddin Mahmud, okay, who was from the family of or grandson of Iltutmish. So the first Mongol invasion of India happened during the reign of Jalaluddin Khilji. This will be a wrong option. During the reign of Alauddin Khilji, one Mongol assault marched up to Delhi and besieged the city. This is true. Okay, this is correct, and that was the reason why Alauddin Khilji had to, you can say, form a new city called as, or fort called as Siris Fort. He had established this. Muhammad bin Tughlaq temporarily lost portions of northwest of his kingdom to Mongols. This is not correct, because by the time when Muhammad bin Tughlaq will come to power, his period of rule is 1326 to 51. Mongols had been quite weakened, so they were not having power to attack, or they were not having power to, you can say, defeat Muhammad bin Tughlaq. So the first and the third option will be incorrect, only second option will be correct. So for this question number 57, answer will be B. Now moving to question number 58, with reference to Kula Daran. With reference to Kula Daran, what is in Indian history? Which is the correct option? Kula literally means class, cap. Kula means cap. Sayyids, they were respected people in the Muslim society, and Sayyids claim their origin from Fatima, descendant of Fatima. Fatima was the daughter of Prophet Muhammad, and Sayyids were quite respected in the Muslim society, and they were, you can say, characterized by, they used to wear a special cap which was a bit pointed, or you can say conical in shape, and Kula means cap. Since they used to wear, so called as Kula Daran, means the one who would be wearing, okay, such pointed caps. So answer will be Sayyids. Obviously, I will say here that this is going to be a very tough questions, and not everyone can do. This is a question which has not to be attempted, because every time you will not find such questions which is easy and which you can do correct. So this was not into that category. Next time there may be a different questions which we may fail to answer. So 58 D. 58, okay, answer is D. Question number 59. 59, with reference to Indian history, consider the following statements. The Dutch established their factories, warehouses on the east coast on lands granted to them by Gajpati rulers. Please keep in mind, as far as history is concerned, I hope for other subjects also this rule is applicable, that we have to apply logic while answering at times MCQ type of question. Even if you do not know this factual information, all of us know that basic thing, that the Dutch company was established in 1602. Okay, 1602. By this year, you will find who is ruling? Akbar. So Odisha had passed into the control of Akbar. So it will itself be a wrong statement that they were assigned, okay, you can say land granted by Gajpati rulers. Alfonso de Albuquerque captured Goa from Bijapur Sultanate. That is true. 1510 he captured it, and he captured from Yusuf Adil Shah, the Bijapuri ruler who ruled in this period 1450 to 1510, and it was 1510 when this was captured. Okay, Goa was captured by Albuquerque. Third, the English East India Company established a factory at Madras on a plot of land leased from a representative of the Vijayanagar Empire. Okay, so the English employee Francis Day, he was the man, Francis Day, who obtained this plot of land from a king, or you can say also a big ruler big Jamidar or Nayak Chandragiri. Chandragiri is the place in an area around Madras. Okay. So he got a land from the ruler of Chandragiri, who himself was a vassal of Vijayanagar rulers, and here the company established the famous factory Fort St. George, presently Chennai, Fort St. George in 1639. 1639. So statement 2 and statement 3 are correct and statement 1 is wrong. So answer will be B, 2 and 3. Done. 59. Okay. Now moving to question number 92. 92. It's about the rulers who were associated with whichever dynasty. So both Nanuk and Jayashakti, they were related to Chandel dynasty. Both were related to Chandel dynasty. So this first one is correct, second one will be wrong, because it is being here shown as belonging to Parmar dynasty. Wrong. Nagbhat second, he was a very famous ruler of the Rashtkut dynasty, because this is the period when there was a fight for the Kannauj or the capital city Kannauj, and Nagbhat second had captured Kannauj and made Kannauj as his capital, but he belonged to Rashtkut dynasty. Bhoj was from Parmar dynasty. Clear? If you ever visit Bhopal, you will find a statue. Even Bhopal airport has been named after Bhoj Parmar. He was very learned ruler, ruling in the period 1000 to 1055. So इवन भोज के मरने के बाद विद्वानों ने कहा अध्यधारा निराधारा निरालंबा सरस्वती, मतलब विद्या की देवी सरस्वती निराश्रित हो गई. ठीक है, विद्वान और विद्या की देवी सरस्वती निराश्रित हो गई. भोज के लिए है. इन्हीं से इंस्पायर होके मेडिवल टाइम में कृष्णदेव राय हैड टेकन द टाइटल आंध्र भोज और अभिनव भोज. सो हियर which are correctly matched? Nanuk is Chandel, true. What you can say, Jayashakti, wrong. Nagbhat second, he was from only one pair is correct. Sorry, he was from Nagbhat Gurjar Pratihar. No, this is correct. Okay, this one. So this is wrong. This one will be wrong. 1 and which one is correct? 3. 1 and 3 correct. अच्छा इसमें ऐसे नहीं है, इसमें pairs में है, तो only 2 means pairs. Clear? Last. Yog Vasisht was translated into Persian by Nizamuddin Panipati during the reign of Akbar. Answer A. Answer will be A. This Yog Vasisht, as far as history is concerned, nobody knows actually who had written this Yog Vasisht, but popularly a belief is there that it was written by Valmiki, and it had been translated on the orders of Jahangir. Dara Shikoh had also translated, but here the question was during translated into Persian, Nizamuddin Panipat during the reign of, so option, the best option available was Akbar. Okay. So answer will be A for question number 94. Okay. Thank you. I hope and I wish all the best for those who are writing mains this year. Okay. Prepare well for the coming exam. All the best. Thank you.
So hello friends, I hope कि पेपर आप लोग का बहुत ही अच्छा गया होगा. It have gone well and art and culture में क्वेश्चन जो थे थोड़े वो डिफिकल्ट तो थे, and more than the question actually the options were difficult. We have discussed many question in the class also, okay, that the dholi, okay, like the avdana, okay, the Avdan Shataka, these things are discussed in the classes. These are discussed also. The Somnath temple is also discussed in the current affairs class. Okay. Even the other things like the Ramanuja, that was very simple question, that was also discussed in the class. So I will not be taking too much of your time and will be discussing only the question and the answers, and if there is any explanation required here. Okay. So the first question of from the art and culture section is the question number 55, and this question is talking about the Jain text. And if you see the option, the first one is the Neti Pakarna, the second one is the Parishishta Pravan, the third one is the Avadana Shataka, the fourth one is the Trishishta Lakshana Mahapurana. So if you see, we in the classes, we have discussed about the Avadana. We have discussed about the Avadana, that Avadana and Jataka story. Avadana and Jataka story related to Buddhism. It is related to Buddhism. So now if the Avadana is related to Buddhism, then definitely Avadana Shataka. Shataka means kya hai? 100. So basically these are the noble deeds stories based on the Buddhism. Okay, based on the Buddhism. So if you have to, if you know this particular option, then you have to eliminate the third one and you will get your answer 2 and 4. Other than that, Neti Prakarna, this is also Buddhist. The Parishishta Prakarna, this was written by the, this is a Jain text and it was written by the Hemchandra. And then the Shati Lakshana Mahapurana, this is also a Jain text. So answer will be B. Answer will be B. Okay. Now moving to the next question. With reference to the Indian history, consider the following pairs: Aryadeva, Digananga and the Nath Muni. Again, if you see in the classes while discussing the Bhakti movement, we have discussed about the Alwar Saint Nath Muni and he has written the Nalaira Divya Prabandham. This was discussed in the class, this was in notes, but because UPSC has framed the option beautifully, you don't have any chance to eliminate the particular options, and that's why this is a very difficult question. Digananga and the Nath Muni is discussed in class definitely, but you cannot answer because this year UPSC has introduced the new type of the options framing, and that is the none of the pairs, 1 pair correct, 2 pair correct, 3 pair correct or the 4 pair correct. So you need to know all the pairs. So for this, if in this question you will see Digananga is Buddhist, Nath Muni Vaishnav, because it is belong to the Alwars. Alwar means हमने पढ़ा था अवनाश, याद आ रहा होगा. If you see Avnash, that means Nainar means Shiva and Alwar means Vishnu. So basically 2nd and 3 is correct. So now answer will be the only 2 pairs correct, and that is the C option. That is the C option, because Aryadeva, this is also the Buddhist scholar. He is the disciple of the Nagarjuna. Nagarjuna is related to the Mahayana Buddhism, okay, and he has given the theory of the Shunyavada. Now moving to the next question. This you can see here in the classes also we have discussed about this. This you can see, this is the Nalaya Dipanda, this is written the Nath Muni, but you cannot answer the question with that particular knowledge because the UPSC has made it difficult, very difficult. I must say very difficult. Now the next question is the consider the following pairs, the site of the Ashokan's major rock edicts and the location. Okay, now again we have read about the Dhauli, that is in Odisha. We have read about the Kalsi, that is in the Dehradun. In between the Dehradun and the Chakrata, in between the Dehradun and the Chakrata, there are the major rock edicts. So Kalsi is wrong, Kalsi is wrong, Dhauli is correct, Iragudi is in the Andhra Pradesh, this is also correct. Jagura, if you see the Jagura, so this is Gad, this is means Gad, Gad means fort, Jau means hota hai, that is made up of the lake, okay, that is made up of the lake, and this particular site is also in the Odisha. Some historians believe, some legends believe that actually Jagura fort was related to the Duryodhan and it has the Mahabharata, it is related to the Mahabharata. So third is wrong, okay, third is in Odisha, fourth is wrong, so only 2 pairs are correct. So answer will be B. Answer will be B. Now moving to the next question. So again in this question, in that question also we know about the first and the fourth, but if the question must have been of the earlier type, that has been, we can eliminate, then this must have been the very easy question straight from the classes. Okay. Now moving to the next question, and this you can see, this is in notes, Kalsi inscription. This you can also see the Dhauli. So this was all from the notes. Now the next question is the which one of the following statement is correct about the Sangam literature. Okay, so if you see the statement, this was a very easy question because it's straightforward, you can eliminate the options because A, C and D, in all the statement if you will see, then these are the absolute statement. Like Sangam poems are devoid of any reference. What they are saying, any. That means absolute term you can avoid. The social classification, इसमें हम बाद में आएंगे. Then Sangam poems have no reference to the आपका war ethics, the warrior ethics. Now again यहाँ पे क्या है? If you see, no reference. That is again an absolute term. Sangam literature refers to the magical forces as irrational. Now at that period, 3rd century BC to 3rd century AD in the Sangam, it is not possible to say the magical forces as irrational. So now again, this is not correct. If you see the B statement, the social classification of the Varna was known to the Sangam poets. So it is very, very easy that at that particular time, if the particular Arya theory and all those theory you believe, then definitely you can say that Sangam poets were also, the Sangam literature or the Sangam poets were also, they have the knowledge about the Varna system. Even the term used was the Arashar for the king, okay. Then the Vaishyar is the for the traders. These kind of the communities were there, these kind of the Varna were there, and the Velalar is for the farmers. Velalar is for the farmer, okay. But definitely if you don't, even if you don't know this particular thing, then also by the elimination you can take the answer, correct answer, and that is the B, okay. That is the B. Now moving to the next question. Now this was in the current affairs class also, this was in classes also. I have told you that there was the statue that was unveiled, and that statue is known as the Statue of Equality, and because of that Ramanuj was very important topic for this year, and they have asked the question. So question was based on the philosophy of the Ramanuism, and philosophy of the Ramanuj is the Vishisht Advaitvad, and from Shankaracharya to Ramanuj the major change was the method of the salvation, because the Shankaracharya believed the ultimate method is the knowledge, while the Ramanuj believed that the bhakti is the ultimate mode of the salvation. So answer will be A. Answer will be A. And you can see that we have discussed this in the current affairs class, and the second line of the class, this is, if you see the written thing is the bhakti is the medium of the salvation, and that is the option that you have to choose. So answer was A. Now moving to the last question of the art and culture section. This year 6 questions were there from the art and culture section. So this is the last question. The Prime Minister recently inaugurated the new circuit house near the Somnath temple. So basically that is the reference point. They are asking about the Somnath temple. So Somnath temple is one among the 12 Jyotirlinga, okay? And at that time we have in the classes we have also discussed about the Bhoj and the Nagbhatta. That was question related in the 92 question, but again because of the framing of the option you cannot answer that, but we have discussed that too, that Bhoj was important because of the Somnath temple. The Nagbhatta too, Gurjar Pratihara, that was also very important, and they have asked in the particular options. And in this, if you'll see, when the India got the independence in 1947, Sardar Vallabhbhai visited the place, and then he has decided for the Pran Pratishtha and the making of the new temple, or the, you can say the restoration of the temple. At that time president was the not the Sarvapalli Radhakrishna, the president was the Rajendra Prasad. So now the third one will be the wrong one, and if you will eliminate the third, you will get your answer, and that is 1 and 2. So hopefully from the classes you must have solved at least 3 questions out of 6, and you will I will say that actually you must have solved 6 out of 6, but because of the framing of the question, because of the options, you were not able to do it. But still I think in this paper 3 out of 6 is very good attempt. Okay, thank you. And
hello everyone, welcome to the session. We were discussing on our general studies solution, and there were 2 questions we can say correlated with the society. So let's quickly discuss it as well. So that was question number 60 on set A. The question says, according to Kautilya Arthashastra, which of the following are correct? Now in such kind of question we can only rely upon our basic knowledge as well as elimination technique. So we know about Kautilya Arthashastra, which mention about some form of slavery present in the society, Mauryan society. So again here a person can be made slave, and this is specifically mentioned in the Kautilya Dandaniti, where the person who is judicially declared as a slave are called as Dandapranit, and this kind of slaves are actually freed after some time if they fulfill some of the conditions. So first point, that a person could be a slave as a result of judicial punishment, is correct. The second statement says that if a female bore her master a son, she was legally free. So due to, you can say, patriarchal nature or element of the basically some form or the other present in the society, here a slave woman, when she become mother of a child who is basically fathered by a free person, a master, again they will be freed, legally freed. So now they will no more considered as slave. In fact, her entire family, the lady's entire family, would be free from slavery. The third point, if a son born to a female slave was fathered by her master, the son was entitled to the legal status of a master son. So in this question, naturally, since the legal right was given to the son of a slave, basically women, naturally they will be having all the rights to have a basically freedom as well as legal right to entitle the father's name and property. So again, here also the statement is correct. So here the correct answer would be D, that is 1, 2 and 3, all of them are going to be correct. Then next question is, we used to discuss in the class related to the tribal issue as well, that there are 5th and 6th schedule in our constitution specifically dealing with the basically administration of the tribal area. So this question was that if a particular area is brought under the 5th schedule, so if a particular area is brought under the 5th schedule of the constitution, which one of the following statement best reflect the consequence of it? So again, 5th schedule is actually derived directly from the Government of India Act 1935, where Britishers have created partially excluded area and fully excluded areas. So partially excluded areas were later on transformed into 5th schedule, where the mainland part of India have certain tribal areas having the population more than 50% of the tribe were having certain rights and protection given under the 5th schedule. And these rights include that no tribal land can be sold to non-tribal person. So usually the money lenders, the construction basically giants would like to interfere in the tribal areas. So to give a tribal community a sense of protection, the 5th schedule specifically mentioned that no land which belongs to a tribal will ever be transferred to a non-tribal person or non-tribal people to give them a sense of security. So clearly the option right answer in this would be A. Again, it could not be for local self-government alone, because local self-government we have panchayat and other mechanism present. It could not convert that area into union territory. Again, it could not have such area declared as a special category state. So you can do it without basically with elimination criteria as well. So that is all from society. Thank you, and I hope your examination went well. So now I would like to invite Ashish sir to take up the polity section. So thank you everyone. Have a great day.
Good evening to all of you. I hope all of you gave your best attempt. Let me discuss some questions of Indian polity. First, I'll take this question, which is question number 13, and the question says, statement number 1. You have to find the right statement, the correct statement. The bill amending the constitution. The bill amending the constitution requires the prior recommendation of the president. Matlab, for a constitutional amendment bill, before you introduce that, you have to have the recommendation of the president. Now, this is quite surprising for many people, because this is not correct. For constitutional amendment bill, there is no provision that President of India has to give recommendation and then only it can be introduced. बाकी money bill के केस में है और कुछ और bill है जहाँ पर ये provision लगता है, but not in the case of constitutional amendment bill. तो ये गलत हुआ. Then when a constitution bill is presented to the President of India, it is obligatory for the President to give his assent. मतलब when there is a bill to amend the constitution and that has been passed by Parliament, तो President of India has to give his assent, he has to give his approval. ये उनके लिए जरूरी है कि वो अपनी assent दें, approval दें. ये provision add कर दिया गया था constitution में under article 368 by 24th Amendment Act 1971. So this is correct, because if there is a constitutional amendment bill and it goes to the President of India, he has no choice but he has to give his assent, and this has been mentioned in the Constitution of India, Article 368. Statement number 3, the Constitutional Amendment Bill must be passed by both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha by special majority, and there is no provision of joint sitting. देखिए joint sitting deadlock के केस में लगता है. I mean, you have a joint sitting when the houses are not agreeing to pass the bill, and there are certain situations which we call as deadlock. Deadlock को break करने के लिए we go for joint sitting. But in case of a constitutional bill, if Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, either of the house, they are not agreeing to the bill, then the bill comes to an end. वहाँ पर joint sitting का कोई provision है ही नहीं. So यहाँ पर जो बात लिखी है बिल्कुल सही लिखी है. There is no provision for joint sitting when it is a case of a constitutional bill. दूसरी बात, when you pass a bill related to Article 368, then the majority required in both the houses, Lok Sabha as well as in Rajya Sabha, is a special majority, which is 2/3 of the members present and voting, and of course the majority of the membership of the house. So ये statement भी सही है, क्योंकि जो majority चाहिए होती है वो चाहिए होती है special majority, और अगर deadlock हो गया तो उसमें joint sitting का कोई provision नहीं है. So here the answer is statement number 2 and statement number 3, they are correct. So this is the right answer, B. First is wrong. Now the second question, the Constitution of India classifies the ministers into 4 ranks: cabinet minister, minister of state with independent charge, minister of state and deputy minister. देखिए यहाँ पर जिसने hint छोड़ा है वो ये छोड़ा है the Constitution of India. मतलब वो कह रहे हैं कि अगर मिनिस्टर्स को हम क्लासिफाई करते हैं, if we categorize the ministers in these categories, cabinet minister, minister of state या deputy minister, then Constitution of India is giving this classification. Let me tell you, Constitution में कहीं ऐसा classification नहीं है, इन ministers का जिक्र भी नहीं है. They don't discuss MOS or they don't discuss deputy minister or, but yes, the word cabinet has been mentioned, but then such a categorization of minister is not given. ये Constitution में नहीं है. By convention we have this division. एक convention है जिससे हम division करते हैं that ministers can be divided into this group, this group, this group. But संविधान में ऐसा कोई provision नहीं है. तो ये statement हो जाती है गलत. Second, this is quite a direct statement. अगर आपने Article 75 Clause 1A पढ़ा है, this is mentioned in the Constitution as it is. ये लाइन संविधान में as it is mention करी गई है. बस सवाल ये है, इसके लिए आपको पूरा Constitution पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं. You have not to read the whole Constitution randomly. When we teach in the class, we discuss these kind of issues. This was added by 91st Amendment Act 2003. So such issues are discussed in the class. अगर आप देखें Polity के जो भी क्वेश्चन आए हैं, अगर आपने क्लास नोट्स ठीक से पढ़े हैं या क्लास में आप अटेंटिव थे, तो आप इजीली उनको आंसर कर सकते हैं, all of them. So the first statement is wrong, second is correct, and thus the answer is B in this question. Erase. Okay. Question number 3, which of the following is or are the exclusive powers of Lok Sabha? इसमें से कौन सी पावर है जो सिर्फ लोकसभा के पास है, राज्यसभा के पास नहीं है? The power to ratify the declaration of emergency. मतलब emergency impose करी गई है, पार्लियामेंट को उसको पास करना है. Emergency has been imposed and parliament has to approve it, means Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Now let me tell you, when emergency has been imposed, both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, they have to separately pass the proposal of emergency. It's not the exclusive power of Lok Sabha. ये लोक सभा की exclusive power नहीं है. उसने पूछा है वो power जो सिर्फ लोक सभा की है, राज्य सभा के पास वो power नहीं है. Now when you have to approve the emergency, then this is done by Lok Sabha as well as by Rajya Sabha. तो ये लोक सभा की exclusive power नहीं है. So this statement is wrong. Second, to pass a motion of no confidence against the Council of Ministers. देखिए, this statement is correct. This power lies only with Lok Sabha, not with Rajya Sabha. No confidence motion is introduced and passed only in Lok Sabha, not in Rajya Sabha, because we are following what? We are following parliamentary system of government. And parliamentary system of government का मतलब ये है, the Council of Minister is in power till the time they enjoy the confidence of the popular house. Popular house कौन सा है? Lok Sabha. तो confidence, no confidence motion is passed against the government only in Lok Sabha, not in Rajya Sabha. तो only आ गया, तो ये exclusive power हुई किसकी? Lok Sabha की. And then to impeach the President of India. the motion to impeach the President of India is to be passed both by Lok Sabha as well as in Rajya Sabha. So this is not the exclusive power of Lok Sabha. तो ये option भी है गलत. Only option number 2 is correct, and thus the answer is B. Okay. Now the next question, with respect to anti-defection law, with reference to anti-defection law in India, consider the following statement. देखिए, anti-defection law has been discussed quite elaborately in the constitution itself. Anti-defection law संविधान में discuss किया गया है. It has been discussed in the 10th schedule of the constitution, and there are certain conditions when you can be disqualified from the house under anti-defection law. कुछ कंडीशन है जब आपको एंटी डिफेक्शन लॉ के तहत हाउस से डिस्क्वालीफाई किया जा सकता है. एंड अमंग दोस कंडीशन, वन कंडीशन इज दैट द लॉ सेज दैट इफ इट्स अ नॉमिनेटेड लेजिस्लेटर, मतलब द लेट्स से द एमपी इज अ नॉमिनेटेड एमपी, then he cannot join any political party. Let's continue where we left. See, this was all about the 10th schedule of the Indian Constitution, talking about anti-defection law. 10th schedule mentions that if you are a nominated legislator, then you can join a political party, but you can join the political party within 6 months, not after 6 months. तो यहाँ जो ये लिखता है that the law says that nominated legislator cannot join any political party within 6 months. This statement is wrong because they can join within 6 months, but not after 6 months. Then it says that the law matlab the anti-defection law does not provide any time frame within which the presiding officer has to decide on the defection case. See, you must be knowing that under anti-defection law, it is the presiding officer of the house. In Lok Sabha, the speaker, in the Rajya Sabha, the chairman. The presiding officer, they decide whether somebody should be disqualified or not under anti-defection law. Anti-defection law में punish करना है नहीं करना है वो presiding officer decide करते हैं. But ये क्या बोलता है that the law does not give any time frame within which you have to decide whether somebody should be disqualified or not, and that's true. This has been all through in news. ये regularly news में भी रहा है. Had you been reading the newspaper, and even if you are not reading the newspaper, in class notes also we discuss these issues in detail. So this statement is correct and that is wrong. So the answer is B. Answer है B. Okay. Now this question is again very easy. I mean, as I said that had you read the notes properly, you would be in a position to answer all the questions. Not very dicey or not very ambiguous this time. यहाँ पे क्या पूछता है? With respect to or with reference to Deputy Speaker of Lok Sabha, मतलब he is primarily focusing upon Deputy Speaker. He says that as per the rule of procedures and conduct of business in Lok Sabha, means as per the working rule of Lok Sabha, the election of the Deputy Speaker shall be held on such a date as the Speaker may fix. Means when the election of the Deputy Speaker must be held, the date is decided by the Speaker. Now this is a well-known fact, but then how would you know this fact? Now as we teach this particular topic in the class, we discuss these kind of facts. This is mentioned very clearly in the rule of procedures of Lok Sabha, and we discuss it in the class. So अगर आपने notes पढ़े हैं तो आप इसको easily answer कर सकते हैं. The first statement is correct. Deputy Speaker का election कब होगा? वो date Speaker decide करते हैं. Belongs to the largest opposition party can contest to become the Deputy Speaker. As per the statement, the member of a ruling party or the largest opposition party, he can contest to be the Deputy Speaker. Now let me tell you one thing very clearly, that the hint for this answer is this particular word, which is mandatory provision. Mandatory matlab compulsory under law or compulsory under constitution. Now neither law nor constitution is making it mandatory that the Deputy Speaker person must be from the ruling party or the largest opposition party. ऐसा law में कहीं लिखा नहीं है, but it's a convention. ये एक convention है, एक tradition है, that if the speaker is from the ruling party, then the Deputy Speaker is taken from the opposition party. But this is not mandatory. इसने क्या लिखा हुआ है? Mandatory. और इस mandatory word की वजह से this statement is wrong. Statement number 3. Deputy Speaker has the same power as of the Speaker when he is presiding over the sitting of the House. and no appeal lies against his rulings. देखिए यहाँ पर गलती होने के चांस भी है. There is a scope of error here. First of all, let me tell you, when the deputy speaker is presiding the house as the speaker, now he has got all the powers of speaker. Deputy speaker जब chair में है, अब वो chairperson है और उनके पास पूरी वो powers हैं जो speaker के पास होती हैं. So this part is quite okay. This is easy. Deputy speaker has the same powers as of the speaker when presiding the house, and no appeal lies against his rulings. यहाँ पर कुछ लोग confuse हो सकते हैं that no appeal lies against his ruling. Now the appeal is not in the court. Appeal is within the house. वो house की ही बात कर रहा है. Within the house you cannot appeal against the ruling of the presiding officer. चाहे deputy speaker ही presiding officer का काम कर रहे हैं, उनका जो judgment है, उनका जो observation है, that is final within the house. हाँ, house के बाहर आप court में जरूर कर सकते हैं. So when he says that there is no appeal lies against his ruling, तो ये statement सही है. And this is also, I mean, this is not a fact, that it's a well established, देखिए क्या लिख रहा है, it's a well established parliamentary practice, मतलब it's well settled, it's well written that the appointment of the deputy speaker, the motion for the appointment of the deputy speaker is moved by the speaker and duly seconded by the prime minister. ऐसी कोई well established practice, ऐसा कोई law, ऐसा कोई provision है ही नहीं. So statement number 4 is wrong. Statement number 1st and statement number 3 you can say correct. So 1 and 3, what is the answer? Answer is A. Statement number 1, statement number 3 are correct. So answer is A. I hope you agreed with this kind of explanation and the answer. The remaining questions will be taken by Sir after me. Good luck to all of you. Do well. Thank you very much.
Okay, so welcome everyone. We will now continue with the remaining questions of polity. So let us look at question number 11 over here. Consider the following statements. Pursuant to the report of H.N. Sanyal Committee, the Contempt of Courts Act 1971 was passed. So this was a factual information, but this is a correct statement. Okay. Then the Constitution of India empowers the Supreme Court and the High Courts to punish for contempt of themselves. This statement is also correct. If you look at Article 129 of the Constitution, it empowers the Supreme Court to punish for its own contempt. Article 142 clause 2 of the Constitution, again it empowers the Supreme Court to punish for its own contempt. And Article 215 of the Constitution, it empowers the High Court to punish for its own contempt. Okay, these two courts, they are the court on records. Then if you look at the third statement, the Constitution of India defines civil contempt and criminal contempt. Now this statement is not correct. If you look at all the articles where contempt of court is mentioned, they have not talked about what is the nature of contempt. It has not been defined. So in these three articles, there is one more article where contempt of court is mentioned in the Constitution. It is Article 19 clause 2. Okay, the restrictions to Article 19 clause 1a, that is the freedom of speech and expression. There also they have provided that if any law is made for contempt of court, it can violate freedom of expression. Okay, so it is not defined. Then if you look at the last statement, in India the parliament is vested with the powers to make laws on contempt of court. Now here you need to just think over it. If you look at Article 142, in Article 129 and Article 215, they have not clearly mentioned about the parliament, but Article 142 very clearly they have mentioned, subject to any law made by the parliament, the Supreme Court can punish for its own contempt. So unless there is a law made by parliament, Supreme Court can exercise its powers, but the parliament has been given the power to make a law. Similarly, Article 19(2), if you read, there also the wordings are very clear that if the state makes a law to provide for contempt of court, then that can breach fundamental right under Article 19(1)(a). So this statement is also correct. The parliament does have the power to make law for contempt of court. So statements 1, 2 and 4 are correct, and the third statement is the incorrect statement. So option B is correct. Okay. Now let us look at the next question. With reference to India, consider the following statements. The first option, government law officers and legal firms are recognized as advocates, but corporate lawyers and patent attorneys are excluded from recognition as advocates. So if you look at the first statement, government law officers and legal firms. So even if you are not aware of the Advocates Act, even if you don't know legally, but just by common sense also, legal firms, they are not covered under the Advocates Act. Okay, we know that there is an Advocates Act which defines who are advocates, section 2 of that act, okay, section 2(1). So legal firms are not advocates. Government law officers, again, they are not advocates, all of them. There are officers who are just having some law degree and they are giving some legal opinion to the government. So government law officers and legal firms are not advocates, but corporate lawyers and patent attorneys are excluded from recognition as advocates. So this statement is not correct, it is incorrect. Then bar councils have the power to lay down the rules relating to legal education and recognition of law colleges. This is a correct statement. Bar Council of India is a statutory body which is laying down the standards of legal education. Every institution which is providing legal education, it has to be affiliated with the Bar Council. It has to be getting the benchmarks set by the Bar Council. Otherwise, the Bar Council can cancel their recognition. So this is a correct statement. So if you look at the options in the question, option B, 2 only will be the correct answer. Okay. Now let us have a look at the next question. Consider the following statements. Attorney General of India and Solicitor General of India are the only officers of the government who are allowed to participate in the meetings of the Parliament of India. Now if you look at Article 76 and Article 88 of the Constitution, these are the two articles where we find references to the Attorney General. Article 76 talks about the Attorney General and 88 provides with the rights to certain members, certain people to attend the meetings of the Parliament. So Attorney General, being a constitutional body, has been explicitly given powers through Article 88, but if you look at the Constitution, there is no mention of the Solicitor General of India, and legally also the Solicitor General of India has not been provided with the powers to sit in the meetings of the Parliament. So this statement turns out to be incorrect. Okay. Next, according to the Constitution of India, this statement is incorrect. According to the Constitution of India, the Attorney General of India submits his resignation when the government which appointed him resigns. Now if you look at the Article 76 of the Constitution, which provides for Attorney General, what does it say? It very clearly says that the Attorney General holds his office till the pleasure of President. Okay. Now pleasure of President is dependent upon whom? It is dependent upon the Council of Ministers. Okay. So legally the Constitution does not require the Attorney General to resign when the government resigns. Okay. It depends upon him. By convention, because he is a political appointment, he resigns when the government resigns, because he was appointed as a political position. Okay. But Constitution does not require it so. So the statement is not correct. Okay. So the options, if we look at, D will be the correct option, neither 1 nor 2. Okay. Now the last question, with reference to the writs issued by the courts in India, consider the following statements. The first statement, so we know that writs are issued under Article 32. Okay. There are 5 types of writs, all are issued by Article 32. Mandamus will not lie against a private organization unless, so what are the key words? Private organization, unless it is entrusted with a public duty. Okay. So what is the statement saying? It is saying that mandamus is not issued against a private organization unless it is entrusted with a public duty. Now this question, to understand it, you also need to have idea of Article 12. Okay. What does Article 12 talk about? Even if you have not gone into the details of what is mandamus, if you just know that mandamus is issued against the state, okay, if you don't know the nitty-gritties of it, if you just know what is the state, you can get this answer, isn't it? Article 12, the definition of state, you must be aware that there are certain bodies falling under the category of other authorities. Okay. So any body which is doing anything which is related to government or doing something of public duty, something of that sort, it can be covered under the definition of state. Khalid Mujib case, if you must remember that. Okay. So this statement is correct, because a private body, if it is interested with a public duty, it becomes of the nature of the state. Okay. Mandamus can be issued against the state. Then second statement, mandamus will not lie against a company even though it may be a government company. Now this statement is incorrect. Okay, it is exactly opposite. We have just discussed that any body, even if it is private body, okay, if it is having a public duty, if it is doing something which is like the state, it can be called the state and mandamus can be issued against it. Now here it is very clearly saying that it does not lie against a company even if it is a government company. So government company is very clearly, it falls under the definition of the state under article 12. So this statement is incorrect. The first statement was correct. Let us look at the third statement. Any public minded person can be a petitioner to move the court to obtain the writ of quo warranto. Okay. Now this is again something which is very straightforward. What is the writ of quo warranto? Okay. Mandamus is issued when some public body, the state is not doing something, you want the state to give some order. So there you have to go personally. In quo warranto, any person, if he finds that somebody who is holding a important public office is not qualified for that, you want to question the authority of that person, by what authority he is sitting in that government chair. Okay, suppose somebody is MP, etc. You want to know by what authority he is sitting in that chair. So any person who is having interest in public, any public minded person, more or less like a PIL, okay, so they can be a petitioner to move the court to obtain the writ of quo warranto. The court will not ask why you are coming to us with this question, whereas in the other writs except habeas corpus, all the writs, whether it is prohibition, certiorari and the mandamus, all the three writs, they cannot be issued, the court will very clearly ask why you are a party. Here it is not the case, so this is a correct statement. So option 1 and option 3 are correct. Option 2, this it is not correct. So if you look at the options, it is C is the correct answer. Okay. So I hope you have got it now. Thank you.
Good evening everyone and happy Environment Day. We got so many number of questions and I believe that those who are from the NEXT IAS, you must be feeling well comfortable with the questions and most of the questions. Like, let's have a look at those questions. Only purpose is to give you give you the answers to those questions. We are not going to discuss in detail. This is not the time for that, right? But this is one among the following crops, which one is the most important anthropogenic source of both methane and nitrous oxide, right? We have seen, we covered in the class, it was one of the most easiest question we can recall. Even in the class we have seen this. We have written multiple, right, multiple sources. Among them, right, one was rice cultivation, the paddy field. So that is one. Now in case of the question, consider the following pairs: wetland, lake. And if you can recall, I told you all the 49 sites which are listed on the Ramsar Convention, even on the right, this right from the Jammu and Kashmir to the bottom Kerala, Tamil Nadu to the east, and even in the east we have seen the three important. One is Deepor Beel, right, that is Assam. Then we have seen this Loktak, Manipur, and then we have seen the Rudrasagar, Tripura. And luckily we did have a question from all this. Like example, Renuka we studied, the Himachal also, right? All, in fact, all 49 we studied. It's a very easy question for us. That is Hokera wetland. Definitely, it's not Punjab, it's Jammu and Kashmir. Renuka wetland, Himachal Pradesh, Rudrasagar, Tripura, Sastam Kota, Kerala. So it means the answer is 2 and 3. The question is how many of the pairs given above are correctly matched. So answer is 2 pairs are correctly matched. So answer is only 2 pairs. Only 2 pairs, right? Next is then we have got, this is just to tell you that go through the notes, have a look at the notes back and see how many number of questions have been asked already. Almost, right, we have got a significant amount of questions. These are the some of the snaps which could be which are sent by the students, right? Because nowadays we have one luxury that we had some of the online batches, so these, right, can directly be taken from there. Otherwise, you know, much more than those informations we already have in the notes. Along with this, consider the following statement in respect of probiotics. If you can recall, recall, we studied the human gut, gut flora, the various microorganism, even we did write in the class bacteria, fungi, archaea and others also part of this. Naturally they are found like lactobacillus, bifidobacteria. We have seen probiotic milk ingested with the favorable bacteria, lactic acid bacteria, like we were talking about the Yakult also. So it was an easy question for us. Probiotics are made up of both bacteria, yeast, yes. The organism in probiotics are found in food we ingest, but they do not naturally occur. That is wrong. We do have such kind of a bacteria in the human gut, and probiotics help in the digestion of the milk sugars. Yes. So 2 is wrong and 1 and 3 is correct. Answer would be C. That is 1 and 3 is correct. 1 and 3 is correct. Then we come to the next question. Here climate action tracker, which monitors the emission reduction pledges of the different countries, is a database which is created by the coalition of the research organization. We have covered in the class IPCC, we have covered in the class UNFCCC, we have covered in the class United Nations Environment Program. It's not related to them. It's a 2 different organization independently establishing a climate action tracker. As usual in the class itself we go a little fast. Here only answers you need to have. Consider the following statement. The climate group is an international non-profit organization. Those you can recall we have studied in the class under 2 coalition, and when we studied the under 2 coalition, the secretariat of the under 2 coalition, the services is given by the climate group. It means the 5th statement becomes wrong. International Energy Agency, no, it's a climate group which is a secretariat to the under 2 coalition. 5 becomes wrong. 5 is here, 5 is here, 5 is here, and 1, 3 and 4. As you can recall, I kept on telling you people many a times you study some informations and still it may help you solve the question in the examination. It's not necessary we shall be able to recall all the information, right, especially when it comes to such kind of a question. So that was also one of the easier of the questions for us. Right now we see, if rainforests and the tropical forests are the lungs of the earth, then surely wetlands function as the kidneys of the landscape. You can recall when we started the significance of wetlands, number of places we did write the wetlands are called as kidneys of landscape. They play an important role in water purification, and even right some places we have seen this how the plants will be absorbing. We have seen in the class phytoremediation also under the heading of the bioremediation, how the metal waste and other pollutant can be removed by the trees and the plants, absorbing them and locating them in the roots and the shoots there. So the question is very easy question was there, that is what aquatic plants absorb heavy metals and the excess nutrients. In bioremediation also we studied. Otherwise this as it is statement we have seen in the class, kidneys of the landscape. For us it was easy. I told you people that wetlands may fetch a question this year in the examination, and rather we got 2 questions in the examination, and luckily we had both those 2 questions from the class notes itself. Right now along with this, if you see the next question is in the context of WHO air quality guidelines. If you can recall, I gave you right some pages from the air pollution, right, plus we covered in the class 2 what was over here like this. If you can recall, this was here, we were talking about the ozone. So we have studied ozone depletion in detail in almost 2 hours, 3 hours class, for many students even 4 hours class, and plus we talked about how it is having a negative impact on the health, especially causing the breathing difficulties, triggering asthma, problematic to the asthma patient, and that is what we studied in the class WHO global air quality guidelines. Even right I was talking about the 5 and 10 right particulate matter, especially PM 2.5 concentration annual as well as the 24 hours. So what is over here is that 24 hours mean of the PM 2.5 should not exceed 15 right microgram per cubic meter, and annual of this 5. Yes, absolutely right. In a year the highest level of ozone pollution occurs during the period of inclement weather. No, we have seen that is wrong. In fact in the class if you can recall photochemical smog, wahan pe humne padha tha, right, where we were talking about how if the environment is stable and how if we are having a kind of a no vertical mixing of air, either the temperature inversion may have taken place. In those cases the certain photochemical reaction may take place and even right led to the formation of ozone too. So it means that statement becomes wrong. And then PM10 can penetrate the lungs barrier and enter the bloodstream. Many a times we have written in the class as it is statement, if you can recall, right, it's not mentioned, maybe it's not given over here. If you can recall, हमने class में कई जगह लिखा है, it's a PM 2.5 which basically may not only breach the lung barrier but may enter into the bloodstream. वो शायद slide लगाना यहाँ पे भूल गए हैं. So that also remember we already seen in the class. It means what is the answer to this question? It's very simple. Answer is that it's not PM10, it's PM 2.5. Excessive ozone in the air can trigger the asthma. Yes, that we have seen. So 1 is correct, 4 is correct, 2 is incorrect, 3 is incorrect, right, in case of answer 1 and 4. So where the answer is, that is B, answer is 1 and 4. Which of the statements given above are correct, right? Next is, then we have got question With reference to Gucci, the sometimes mentioned in the news, it was in current affairs. Consider the following statements. It is a fungus. Yes. It grows in some Himalayan forest areas. Yes. We have seen it is sold in the market at very high prices. People collect that, right? It is commercially cultivated. No, right? It is not commercially cultivated. People go, right, and they collect it from where they are naturally grown, especially into those areas. So the 3 is incorrect. 1 and 2 is correct. The answer would be C. That is 1 and 2. 1 and 2 is correct. I have already told you, those who have attended the classes, we know how in detail we have studied all those information. Here the purpose is only to give you the answers. That's it. Next is we are talking about what is this question is this. Next question is with reference to the polyethylene terephthalate. If you can recall in the current affairs class, when I was taking your current affairs class, I think in the month of 1st or 2nd of this May itself, we were talking about the recycling of the plastic waste, and there we have studied all those including the PTE, right? This is we have seen already. So it means that is the question which already came in the examination this time, and it's already we covered in the class in the, among the recycling of the plastic waste and others also. So it means remember that when we talk about fibers can be blended with the wool and cotton fibers to reinforce their properties. Yes. Containers made of, right? No. There is in fact the industry, the plastic industry, they protested for this, that should not be banned and they are relatively safer. But from the examination point of view, bottles of it can be recycled into the other products. Yes. And among the given option, if we talk about, then 1 is correct and 3 is correct. So answer will be what? 1 and 3. Answer is A. That is 1 and 3. Plastering industry think differently, but from the examination point of view, what we studied, just pay attention to this. Now see this kind of a question. Many a times people keep on wondering, shall we cover how many number of species, what species? I always tell you people that let the current affairs class be conducted before the prelims examination. We will have the environment class, and in those environment current affairs class, we will cover all those species which have been in news, right, round out the year. And this year also that happened. Last year also the same thing happened. Whatever species the related question came, we did cover in the class. Example, the question came, which of the following is not a bird? Answer is golden mahashir. And you can recall in the class we studied the blue finned mahashir, we studied the orange finned mahashir, we studied the gold finned mahashir. So not only we studied different type of mahashir, we studied, remember, right, those other species also. That's how we get the question. But if the student can recall even one word, that's a mahashir, we were talking about the fish over here, it means that was very easy for us, right? That's very easy, one of the very easy question. Even if you can recall your current affairs classes as it is, blue finned mahashir, in front of that I wrote fish, and I told you to just remember that if the question comes, mostly the question may be whether it is a mammal, it's a fish, it's a bird, these kind of questions are there, and that's what, remember, the question came. Next is, which of the following are nitrogen fixing plants? You can remember we have studied the symbiotic association we are talking about. There we talked about the rhizobium and the legumes, the root legumes, right, root legumes. And here what we have seen is, what are the root legumes over here? Please remember leguminous plants we are talking about those pulses, etc. So in those questions the answer is alfalfa, chickpea would be there, and as well as clover will be there. These are the leafy vegetations which are there. So answer will be 1, 3 and 4. 1, 3 and 4 if it is there. Yes, this is A, that is 1, 3 and 4. Answer is 1, 3 and 4. Go to the next question, and that is biorock technology is talked about. When we talked about the coral bleaching, that's a restoration of damaged corals. Restoration of damaged corals. The Miyawaki method is well known for. Again, we studied in this current affairs class 2nd or 3rd of May, if I correctly recall. We had this all batches combined. It means all of you must have seen over there, right? Because of the paucity of time, we did this Miyawaki technique for urban forest management. If you can remember, only this much of a line we said it would be important if the question comes in the examination. And what happened over here? Miyawaki method is well known for. The answer is what? Answer is that, see this, where it is written over there, creation of mini forest in the urban areas. That is C, and that is what we studied in the class. What we studied in the class was the same thing over there, and that was the Miyawaki technique of urban forest management. Next is which one of the following has been constituted under Environment Protection Act 1986? Time and again, many places we have seen various statutory body constituted under the various environmental laws, and one of the environmental law we have seen Environment Protection Act 1986. And if you can recall, we have seen the Environment Protection Act 1986, section 3, I was talking about the various bodies established, and one of the body which was written over there were the Central Groundwater Authority, a statutory body established under EPA 1986, right, and this is under, as of now, the Jal Shakti Ministry. We have seen the various such kind of laws. So that's what the question was there. So answer is very simple, that was the Central Groundwater Authority. If I have not told you, the answer is what? Central Groundwater Authority. Then after that, if you see, is which one of the following best describes the term green washing? जिन्हों को क्लास में याद होगा, मैं आपसे बोल रहा था कि कंपनीज कभी कभी अपने पाप धोने के लिए इस तरीके से करते हैं. What does it means? Means remember, you are trying to show off as if you are too environment friendly company. You have engaged into giving charities, donations, and such kind of right actions which would lead to such kind of a belief among the people as if the company is too eco-friendly, too environment friendly. Whereas in reality it is not the case. It is called as what? Like example, as if you are brainwashing the people, is called as a greenwashing. So what is greenwashing? Conveying a false impression that a company's product are eco-friendly and as well as environmentally sound. It's easy question for us. Generally that was a question number 80. Consider the following statement: Gujarat has the largest solar park in India. Right, that's wrong. Kerala has a fully solar powered international airport. Correct. Goa has the largest floating solar photovoltaic project in India. That is wrong. So answer would be what? Only 2. I've already told you, giving too much of an explanation at this juncture is not going to serve any purpose. You must be too tired. Here you must be only looking for an answer. We had the classes, we have all those information covered there, right? With reference to Indian laws about Wildlife Protection Act, consider the following statement. If you can recall, I gave you this entire page. We studied in the class Wildlife Protection Act 1972 and we covered all this. And in this page itself, what we have seen over here, the very first page itself talks about the killing, and it also talks about the property of this entire wild species may be killed which are existing. That's solely the property of the government. So both the points we did have in the notes itself over there. So what the point says is very simple here. Wild animals are the sole property of the government. Definitely they are the sole property of the government mentioned in the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. And number 2, when a wild animal is declared protected, such animal is entitled for equal protection whether it is found in protected area or outside. Protected areas are mainly with respect to regulating the anthropogenic activities. Irrespective of the species where it is, either in the protected area or outside, should be enjoying that kind of a protection there. So example, if you see the tiger, whether it is in a national park or in the tiger reserve or right outside over there, it will be enjoying the similar protection. So that is 1 and 2 shall be correct over here. Again, I have already told you in question or 2, sometimes right there may be an interpretational issue, but here right what is written over there, apprehension of a protected wild animal becoming a danger to the human life is sufficient ground for its capture or killing. Yes, Wildlife Protection Act 1972 says that if a wild animal is becoming threat to life, right, along with the other things also, then the species may be killed, but before that organism is being killed, right, they shall try to tranquilize or to capture, to make that organism, right, first of all captivated. If not possible, then the killing may be permitted by the chief wildlife warden, though there's a special permission shall be given. But the point is over here is that there is no apprehension of danger. So if there is a mere apprehension of danger, right, killing is not done over there. There shall be a real danger, number 1, and number 2, before danger, other step shall be what, that there shall be an effort with respect to capturing the organism. So number 3 becomes wrong, especially why? Because apprehension of a protected wild animal. But I've already told you, maybe UPSC many times we have seen previously 2 years they have dropped certain questions because they may have framed the questions wrong, or they may have taken the answers wrong in that way. So generally here the answer most probably shall be 1 and 2, because yes, what the point over here, if a species, if a organism, if a wild animal becomes a threat to the human, yes, it can be killed. But here the point is written as an apprehension, right? So generally we say mere apprehension, not be before killing the organism, that wild animal shall be arrested or captured, shall be tranquilized. That shall be the first effort. And number 3, right, it shall be a satisfaction of the chief wildlife warden that it has become a danger. No, not that it has been considered that it may become a danger. Here we are talking the apprehension. So this is wrong. No, mere apprehension cannot be a ground for killing a wild animal. So 1 and 2 is correct. 3 is incorrect, shall be over here. Next is, I've already told you this, and then after that, certain species of which one of the following organisms are well known as cultivators of fungi. I don't know how many of you, right, or others who have not attended the classes must have studied this, but if you can recall, I gave you, right, I covered in the class the various interaction, and here in the interaction, right, I gave you those pages. If we can remember the mutualism and other type of interactions which we have seen, initially there was a box, and after that we had a 5-6 pages. In the very first page and second page itself, you will find what was written, the leaf cutter ant and the fungus. Leaf cutter ant and the fungus, and it also had a mention of that basically it is cultivating whom? It cultivates the fungus, and that's what the answer would be. What the answer would be? Ant. So answer over here is a ant. It was an easy question for the student who attended, must have been a very difficult question for the student who didn't attend, right? So that's one is, but the point is over here is very simple, that have you attended all the classes till the end? Have you gone through all the notes which we have covered? Obviously we have covered information much more than this, but still consider the following statement: other than those made by humans, nanoparticles do not exist in nature. No, right from the volcanic ash to the other contribution, it can be there. Nanoparticles of some metallic oxides are used in the manufacturing of some cosmetics. Yes. Nanoparticles of some commercial products which enter the environment are unsafe for humans. Yes. So that is also correct. 2 and 3. Answer shall be D, that is 2 and 3. Then we have got is the next question. If it is coming on the screen, yes. Consider the following: carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxide, ozone, sulfur dioxide. Almost every one of you, right, must have seen this question as a kind of a, right, one of the easiest question asked this year, right? Example, in the class we have only written, when we were talking about the acid rain, we talked about the oxides of nitrogen, and as well as we talked the sulfur dioxide interacting with the various atmospheric constituent, leading to the formation of respectively nitric acid and as well as the sulfuric acid. And when their precipitation takes place, that is called as what? That is called as a acid rain, right? Had right, these were the question, I think, right? We are done with the questions, right? So thank you very much for listening to me. These were the questions from this side. This year also we had so many number of questions, but again remember, as I kept on telling you in the class, again you can have a look at the question. Most of those questions, or almost all of those questions, are information oriented, data oriented, and one big problem becomes is what to be studied for this, how many number of information to be covered. But if you can be really focused, if you can cover more number of areas, then definitely we'll be having chances like we had this year too. So thank you very much for listening to me. All the very best for those who have appeared in the examination. Thank you.
Hi students, this is Alok, Ranjan. You must have a fabulous day today, and 5th June is the environmental day also. So you can see that a lot of questions have come from environment and as well as geography. Geography will have its own overlap. Since I am an optional teacher, so I am bound to see this question paper from a different perspective. And I am not looking at it from the perspective of environment, I am looking at it from the geographical perspective. So geography is a subject which actually overlaps with science, with some part of economics, and also environment in a major way. So like there must be around 35 questions which any geography optional student can approach at least. If I cannot claim that he would have accurate answering of all the 35 questions, but at least there are some 20-25 questions which are directly from geography optional syllabus, and that is a fact, everybody knows about it. So okay, I will not take much of your time because I know that you are highly fatigued and you are having that exertion of being 6 hours in a class, and now we are all looking for the answers today. So here is my question number 1. I have taken only 5 questions for you because that is what is exactly the physical geography part. And wait. All right, this is my question number 1. This is 23. Looking at the question paper, what I feel is from question number 20 to 30, all are from geography background, and question number from another 70s maybe jaake there are a few questions from geography. So geographical, hardcore geography I am talking about, hardcore geography will be having at least the minimum of around 8 to 15 questions as people are classifying. Now here is the question number 1. Which one of the following lakes of West Africa has become dry and turned into a desert? There is a concept of desertification in environment also, but since this question belongs to place and location, this has to be geographical. Now the West Sahara Desert has extended itself south of Niger River. Timbuktu is a place, it's a very important place for the world tourist. Now this lake, actually answer is this lake Fagubine. This Lake Fagubine is near Timbuktu. You can see on the internet also, you can Google also. But now the concept is that this lake has become completely dry because of the extension of the West Sahara Desert. Northern part of Mali is Igudi Desert, and this desert has been extending southward. So actually desertification of the savanna region has taken place, and all the lakes which have been found in savanna, they are becoming drier. Even the case of Lake Chad, even the case of Lake Aral, even the Dead Sea, even the Sea of Galilee. So there have been so many examples in the world where the lakes are becoming dry. Obviously the impact is coming from the recent climate change and the rise in temperature of the globe. Would like to add something more here, that how to solve this question, because most of you must not have heard of Lake Fagubine. So how to do it? The question reads that the term West Africa. So when it is West Africa, you can always eliminate Lake Victoria and Lake Voltas. Why Lake Voltas? Because Lake Voltas is in Ghana. Even though it is in West Africa, it is in Ghana, and everybody knows that Lake Volta is having the largest man-made reservoir of Africa. So Lake Volta to pani bhara hua hai, Lake Victoria is on equator. So we have to select between these two. Now why Lake Fagubine? Because Lake Oguta is basically known for the petroleum reserves. It is in Nigeria. It is also near somewhere close to the city Kano and along the Niger belt itself. I always emphasize to my student that whenever you are looking at the river, you must try to locate the other locations along the river also, like which cities are lying there, which mining centers are lying there, which petroleum wells are there. So this kind of analysis and knowledge will always help you in solving the questions in civil services. So this was our question number 1. So Oguta could have been eliminated. So by elimination method, you could have reached Lake Fagubine. And then one important thing, if you are for the next year also, that if you are able to eliminate A and D, then even if you are not sure about B and C, then still you can go and play this game. You can go and you can hit either B or C. Rest is your luck. All right, coming to the next question now. Okay. ये Gandikota Canyon है. Actually, the answer will be Penna River, or in your atlas it must be written as Pennuru River. Penna is the only river between Kaveri and Krishna which flows in that entire stretch of semi-desert, or you can call it the drier part of southern India and the plateaus. That area is called Kadapa Plateau, and this Kadapa Plateau will have the sandstone rocks. You must remember, it is NCERT based fact also, that the Kadapa are the earliest sedimentary rocks which exist today. Dharwads were the first sedimentary rocks which have been metamorphosed, but Kadapa is the earliest sedimentary rocks which have sandstone. So when you have sandstone rocks and sedimentary rocks, the rivers are able to have very deep cut into it. So this is how the formation has been by this Pennar river. Tungabhadra impossible because it is still flowing on those Karnataka areas, and Kaveri of course forms a gorge, it definitely forms a gorge, and some scientists also believe that Kaveri is understood to have the only river of South India which will form a gorge along the Brahmagiri hills. But that gorge has been formed because of the back cutting. It is always because of the back wasting of material and the headward erosion by the river. So that was our question number 24. Now moving to next question here. Next question is question number 28. With reference to India, consider the following statement. This question has come from the mineralogy or the mineral sciences. Monazite is a source of rare earth. Why monazite has been asked? Because it is one of the highest deposits of monazite are found in India, all along the Kerala coast. I mean, our geography teachers, or I have been telling you so many times that monazite is the source of thorium. It's a very simple question, NCERT based question, but what was the trick involved here? That you needed to know the locational accuracy of monazite. So 3 monazite occurs naturally in the entire Indian coastals. Entire is the word where you have to actually the opportunity to cut it down and question this statement 3 is actually wrong in that case because it is using entire. So monazite is located mainly along the Malabar coast, not on entire Indian coast, and rest 1, 2 and 4 are correct. Rare earths, I want to tell you something that in India rare earths there is one more pyrite which is found along the Son Valley. So if today the question has come on monazite, maybe the next year or in the coming years even pyrite could be an important question. So pyrite deposits पे भी आप पढ़ लो for the coming years. All right, now moving to another question, that will be question number 29. In the northern hemisphere, the longest day of the year normally occurs in the, oh my students, you must be remembering that I have been telling you, showing this marker and the inclination of 23.5, then showing you that this is the sun and earth is revolving. So when the earth revolves and because of the inclination of the earth's axis, the Tropic of Cancer is falling vertically below the sun, and as it revolves the equator is falling vertically, you can see it, and as it comes here again the equator is falling, the Tropic of Capricorn is falling, you can see clearly, and when it comes here in the path of revolution again the equator is falling. So it is because of the earth's inclination 23.5 and the revolution you have this phenomena. Now in the northern hemisphere the longest day has to be in northern hemisphere when it is June, has to be June, because on 21st June the sun is vertically over the Tropic of Cancer. So it's a very simple question. I mean you can read this question from G.C. Leong also, chapter 1 G.C. Leong, this question is there. And now consider the following statement. This question is little tricky, and I had a debate with the science and the other teachers here, great faculties here. This question is little tricky because this is going to be little controversial also, because it writes high clouds primarily reflect solar radiation and cool the surface of the earth. Now prima facie this statement looks correct, but why it looks correct? Because I have certain argument for this statement being correct. I hope you will listen to it very carefully. High clouds meaning cirrus clouds. In G.C. Leong or any good book you will find that high clouds are termed as cirrus clouds. Any cloud which is higher than 6 km will be called the high cloud as per the geographical definitions. So if high clouds here mean the cirrus clouds, the cirrostratus, the cirrocumulus or the cirrus clouds, then primarily reflect solar radiation and cool the surface of the earth. So it looks like a correct statement. Ki the clouds reflect solar radiation, this is true, albedo is around 27, and cool the surface of the earth. So when since the high clouds are the fibrous clouds and they are made of ice crystals, so their reflection or their albedo is high, 27 is very high albedo for the high clouds. Now my argument is, you have to listen to my argument also. So my argument is that the ice age, whether it was little ice age which came in our human history or whether it is the other ice ages like Pleistocene ice ages. So all these ice ages have followed the orogenetic phases, orogenetic meaning the mountain building phases. I can give you one example here. One example will be, the best example will be the Himalayan orogenesis, the Alpine orogenesis, the mountain building of the Alpine, Himalayan and the Rockies and Andes. So all these mountains when they were constructed by the tectonic movements, so a lot of volcanic eruption took place and all those dust particles were held by the gases in the atmosphere. So all these dust particles form the hygroscopic nuclei or the freezing nuclei, and as they got converted into freezing nuclei or acted as freezing nuclei, then a lot of condensation must have taken place and high clouds must have been formed. Now cirrus clouds probably would have been there, or maybe the mild clouds would have been formed because the volcanic eruption, the gases are thrown at least to greater heights like more than 3 kilometers, more than 5-6 kilometers, the dust cloud will be formed in the upper zone only, not in the lower zone really, because if it is formed in the lower zone, then it will become dark. And there was no such dark period written by any of the geologists or scientists. So I have these arguments for supporting the idea that this one is correct, because high clouds will reflect the solar radiation and that cools the surface of the earth. If we go by all these theories of the dust cloud hypothesis and the mountain building, etc. But as the science now believes, the high clouds have are thin basically, they are thin, and the lower clouds are much thicker. So the impact is reverse. The higher clouds are having 27 albedo reflection, but from the Earth's radiation or terrestrial radiation, they can hold around 34 units, and they also hold sometimes 14 units. So overall, they hold more energy rather than the reflection. So they are reflecting 27 unit and they are absorbing 34. Now, going by this argument, the higher clouds will always do warming rather than cooling. If you look at the budget of the insolational budget of the cloud, so the higher clouds will be reflecting 27 units and maybe holding around 34 or 48, because 34 is what? The terrestrial radiation, and 14 is directly held by them. So overall they hold 48. Now in this case, the higher clouds will be causing the warming, not the cooling. So now there are two controversial statements. I am pointing out these two facts here. Fact number one, the higher clouds leads to cooling, and the example will be the volcanic dust theory and the coming of the ice age, especially the little ice age. When you have this Krakatoa volcanism and Vesuvian volcanism, the earth was under the the cool age, the little ice age we call it. But if you want me to put the question in the right frame and going by the energy equations and the heat budget of the cloud, I believe that high clouds, this statement will be wrong, because high clouds ultimately will be leading to the warming, not the cooling. And then the second one is, so statement number one is wrong. The second one is low clouds have a high absorption of infrared radiation emanating from the Earth's surface. The moment it is emanating from the Earth's surface, it becomes wrong, because the insolational rays which are coming in the troposphere, they are infrared, coming from directly from the sun. It is not the radiating energy from the terrestrial world. Now, I think I was supposed to discuss these 4-5 questions from physical geography, because I am taking physical part of your geography for your general studies. So here, and thank you for listening to me. Grateful to you. Take care, bye, and my wishes. Do well, and don't worry about the results, because start your mains preparation. That's my wish. Thank you.
Hello everyone. Now the remaining portion of the geography. In this section you are aware of that complex question and easy questions both together. That is the pattern of the UPSC. And if we focus on the question number 22, slightly difficult question from the agriculture. For many years the questions from agriculture relatively a difficult one. The system of rice intensification of cultivation in which alternate wetting and the drying rice fields is practiced results in. So that is one modern technique, SRI method. Unlike the transplantation method or direct seeded rice, this method is also very popular method of recent times. The SRI method, if I focus upon, then you know very well that in this method the relatively less water consumption, that's why that is preferred method, in which production of the rice is more with less water. So if I talk about that in this field, as question itself telling, wetting and drying, we know rice require more water, water intensive crop in most of the cultivation, like transplantation, water logging condition, but यहाँ पे minimum पानी के अंदर ये हल्का सा wet रहे, तो this question is itself telling us that minimum water usage, and that is helping hand is of course in the reduce methane production, unlike the transplantation method. So you know the second is correct, reduce methane production. And second is, in this method it is also required that only single seedling is planted rather than the bunch in the transplantation. एक छोटे छोटे सीड, एक सिंगल सीडलिंग जो नर्सरी में तैयार हो गया, नर्सरी से एक सिंगल तो इसमें मिनिमम कंपटीशन होता है सीड के बीच में, और जब सीड का कंपटीशन कम होगा, एक सिंगल सीड rather than transplantation bunch, then here the chance of seed consumption is also reduced. So it is less inputs, less seed requirement as well. So first is also correct, and overall we even say that less water, it means less irrigation requirement, less water pumping. So it is also relatively indicated that energy consumption is also less inputs, well prepared modern method. So unlike the popular transplantation method, even less electricity or less energy consumption chances are there. 1 and 2 correct, and third also we can say that is slightly energy consumption is less, but even we can interpret that energy is related to the electricity as well. On this ground, that probability of this question going towards the D option 1, 2, 3. Now the second question we see, that is slightly easier one. The question that is second year, and this question is consider the following pairs, peak and the mountains. I would suggest that if any map based question is there, peaks and mountains comparison, then to don't take the risk here, rather draw a simple diagram. I am sure that if you make in your particular question paper, if you draw this diagram, the North India like this, and just consider it is Himalayan zone, then you know it very well that in Himalayan zone, that famous peaks, if I say Namcha Barwa, Nanda Devi, Nokrek, then Namcha Barwa is Arunachal and Tibet border, Tibetan side, eastern Himalaya, that is Assam, Arunachal, Himalaya, but here it is given Namcha Barwa, Gadwal. Gadwal is famous place in Uttarakhand, Gadwal, Kumaon. So it is outrightly incorrect, that number 1, that is incorrect. And Nanda Devi, Kumaon, Himalaya, Nanda Devi you know, a famous peak of Uttarakhand, Nanda Devi Biosphere Reserve. So this area of course correct, second is correct. And Nokrek, that is a kind of biosphere reserve of Meghalaya area, and Meghalaya you know can't be Sikkim, Meghalaya is different, Sikkim is different. So third is also incorrect. So only 2 is correct, B is the option. So this one, so I do think that Namcha Barwa, the Nanda Devi, only Nanda Devi is correct, neither the Nokrek, that's why the number, you can say the B the option, 2 only the correct option, and C the third as well. The term Levant, that is basically a term more in the current affairs due to the IAS activities, Islamic State, Iraq and the Levant. And once we say Iraq and Syria as well, so once we say ISIS or ISIL, then either you say Iraq and Levant or Iraq and Syria. It means Syria and Levant both are synonymous. Levant is slightly bigger area near Mediterranean Sea involving Syria and the Lebanon, as well as the area of the Turkey little bit as well. So this area is nothing but in the map area, if you just check, then you know it is Mediterranean Sea, this side. In Mediterranean Sea, this part, that is the Levant area, east, this zone, here Syria, that is a kind of question of Syria, too many you know, so Syria and Lebanon, plus that. So if little bit this term ISIL or ISIS you are aware of, then on this basis even you can include that Levant and Syria synonymous in these countries. So option A is correct. So let's check the other than the question number 26 other questions, remaining question as well. The question other than that, the question number, yes, the next question, consider following countries, that is also map based. The question like Azerbaijan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, but again Afghanistan. those countries remained in the news due to Taliban or hard lines and ISIS, then the question of the UPSC on this trend as well. And you have to even consider that Central Asia का route है अफगानिस्तान. अफगानिस्तान and Iran के through हम जा सकते हैं. So India is also making the road here. So Afghanistan map, if you are aware of, suppose if I say that one side to draw a crude map of Afghanistan like that, this one, this side it is touching China, this side touching India, and this side the Pakistan, this side the Iran, but northern area of the Afghanistan is Central Asia. For example, you know Tapi gas pipeline, Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India. On this basis, Turkmenistan would definitely be there. So let's see, Turkmenistan is given, yes, 4 option. And if I talk about the Azerbaijan, Azerbaijan is far away, that is in Caspian Sea surrounding, it can't be. So number 1 is not possible. And also Kyrgyzstan, that is more to this side, but which countries are closer? Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, and one more country where Pamir not just above that, Tajikistan. Generally it is said if Afghanistan hadn't touched the northernmost area of India, then Tajikistan would have been the neighboring country where Pamir. So Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, these 2 options, 3-5, 3-5 you check here, then 3-5 is also given here, and 1 can't be, as I said, Azerbaijan can't be, it is on Caspian Sea surrounding, then 3-4-5 the C option. So little bit whichever knowledge you have, you use that knowledge, Tapi gas pipeline, Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, on this basis also you may do that. But definitely I would suggest that key countries, if crude diagram during the exam you draw, you may correctly or reaching the correct answer as well, the option 3-4-5, the kind of option Tajikistan, having the Pamir node north of that, also Uzbekistan, and Turkmenistan, the gas pipeline. So on this basis, C. And the next is the consider the following state: Andhra, Kerala, Himachal, Tripura. How many of the above are generally known as tea producing state? It is also relatively the topic slightly in confusing us, because normally we are aware of Assam, tea garden area, and also Bengal, Darjeeling area, Tamil Nadu, and Kerala, Munnar. So Kerala is quite famous, of course. That is correct here, the tea producing state. But South India is also known for either Kerala, or you can say the Tamil Nadu region, or Andhra, or surrounding area. So in NCERT also, once you go through, NCERTs are indispensable book, and again NCERT has shown that in geography we can't neglect that portion. Then Andhra is also mentioned as a South Indian state, and even Tripura, due to Assam, Tripura, both are the plain kind of area, Tripura is also there, as well as the Himachal, in Himachal, Kangra, Palanpur, these kind of area also organic tea. So tea is being produced, और टी से 2 क्वेश्चन आए, टी बोर्ड पर आ गया है कलकत्ता और ये वाला एरिया, और देन द टी हियर एज वेल. सो the Andhra, Kerala, Himachal, Tripura, so all 4 states actually known for tea plantation. So it is also my request to all of you, those are preparing as well, that once you see the question, please do not see that okay, if I know Kerala then other state can't be. Just have this liberty in your mind that if we know these are number 1, number 2, other state could also be there. It's not mentioned number 1, number 2. Generally tea producing area, so all 4 option D. Next question, if you check here, that consider the following pairs: Ghat Prabha, Gandhi Sagar, Indira Sagar, Marathon, and related states Telangana, Madhya Pradesh, Andhra, Chhattisgarh. And you note very well that these names, Gandhi Sagar, Indira Sagar, quite famous reservoir of our state Madhya Pradesh. Indira Sagar is famous on Narmada river, the largest project of Madhya Pradesh. Indira Sagar, Omkareshwar, and Sardar Sarovar. So Indira Sagar, third is wrong. Gandhi Sagar is of course Madhya Pradesh, a famous reservoir on the river Chambal. Then Gandhi Sagar is correct, famous one. Ghat Prabha, Mal Prabha, these rivers also remained in news due to some disputes. Maharashtra, Karnataka के surrounding में. Ghat Prabha महाराष्ट्र की river है, तेलंगाना की नहीं है. तेलंगाना से गोदावरी पास कर रही है, कृष्णा पास करती है, Tungabhadra as well. But Ghat Prabha is more westward. So if I talk about a crude map, then you know very well that Indira Sagar on Narmada river, and on Chambal the Madhya Pradesh again the Gandhi Sagar, as well as the Ghat Prabha on the western side Maharashtra. So that is the wrong statement here, number 1, and number 3 is also wrong. Methon not in Chhattisgarh, Methon is Jharkhand, Damodar, and Damodar basin actually. तो दामोदर बेसिन में कई डैम बनाए थे दामोदर वैली कॉर्पोरेशन में, तिलैया, मैथॉन, बाराकार्स, etc. Then Methon is also wrong, it is not Chhattisgarh. So basically only the Gandhi Sagar is correct here. And if I talk about here the option only which pair, only one pair, which pair, the Gandhi Sagar, Madhya Pradesh is correct, neither the Methon nor the, you can see the Ghat Prabha, that is in Karnataka Ghat Prabha, and this Indira Sagar is actually Madhya Pradesh again on river Narmada, and that is also wrong here. So only one pair, that is A option. So these are the questions here. So thank you very much. Let's hope for your best success here. Thank you very much.
So good evening all of you. I hope those who all appeared in this exam, you all performed really well. And today I'll be discussing 2 questions which is related to the topic of governance as well. So all of you just read the question given here with reference to Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission. Consider the following statements. So now all of you, Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission, we know it was launched in September 2021 by the Prime Minister through the video conferencing. Okay. Now under this we have to check which of the given statements is or are correct. So first statement, private and public hospitals must adopt it. Yes, private as well as public hospitals, they have to adopt it. Okay. Second, as it aims to achieve universal health coverage, every citizen of India should be part of it ultimately. Yes, every citizen has to be part of it. Digital cards will be, digital health ID will be created, and so many features are there. So definitely the second statement is also correct. Now third, it has seamless portability across the country. Now all of you, yes, definitely, what is the purpose of this digital mission? Until or unless it will have seamless portability across the nation, there will be no purpose of digital mission. Otherwise we already have Ayushman Bharat mission. So why this Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission? Yes, because we want to have seamless portability across the country. Therefore here first, second as well as third, all the 3 statements are correct. So all of you, what will be your answer? Your answer will be option D. Now all of you look at the next question. Now given, consider the following statements. The first statement says the Indian Sanitation Coalition is a platform to promote sustainable sanitation and is funded by the Government of India and the World Health Organization. Now all of you here, this Indian Sanitation Coalition, this is the perfect example of governance model where state, market as well as civil society, they work together for the benefit. Now here Indian Sanitation Coalition, yes, here state, market as well as civil society, that is NGOs and all, they work together. So all of you here, funded by the Government of India, yes, definitely it is funded by the Government of India, but World Health Organization, all of you, it is not funded by World Health Organization. Here private players, civil society, that is NGOs and all, government, yes, they participate, they work together, but it is not funded by WHO. Therefore your first statement is wrong. Now the second statement, the National Institute of Urban Affairs is an apex body of the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs in the Government of India and provides innovative solutions to address the challenges of urban. So now all of you here in this case, again this second statement is also wrong. Why? Because this institute was formed for what? Research, training and information dissemination, and it was here this institute, all of you, NIUA, we call it NIUA, it was formed in the year 1976 only, because through the Societies Registration Act. And here this body is not the apex body of Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, and it does not provide innovative solutions to address the challenges of urban India. So all of you please keep in mind that it does not provide, you can go through the objectives here and you will find that this providing innovative solution is not part of the objective of this institution. So therefore all of you here, this second statement is also wrong. Therefore your answer here is option D, that is neither 1 nor 2. So both the questions were simple kind of fact based question, and I don't think anyone would be having any kind of confusion or doubt here. So all of you rest, just work hard for your mains preparation. All the best for your mains and interview. Thank you.
Myself Mohammad Ayaz Khan, and now we are going to have the discussion regarding the solutions of the science and technology questions. Okay. So let's start with the question number 31. Set A, consider the following the applications which are there: Arogya Setu, then Cowin, DigiLocker, Diksha, and the question is which of the following are built on top of open source digital platform. So for actually here this is not the time to obviously to explain you the details of that. So if you just want me the straightforward answer, the answer is D. Now basically Arogya Setu is basically for which was developed at the time of COVID, then Cowin obviously to register for the vaccination, DigiLocker where you can store your documents, Diksha is an educational app where the teachers and the learners can have access to the content. Now basically what is open source? See, open source is like where the people can have access, anybody can have access to the source code, so which is open for all. So that is like simple common sense if you could have applied. These are all somewhere obviously done by the government and they are for the mass consumption. So it is not going to be proprietary softwares or the applications. So in this case the answer is not straightforward. Obviously the examination pressure is simply different ball game, but the answer is D for this question. I hope you have got it right. Now we will move to the next question. So if you see those who have attended the classes current affairs program, we discussed Web 3.0. So the question is with reference to Web 3.0, consider the following statements. Web 3.0 technology enables people to control their own data. This is the significance, decentralization. So this statement is true. Second statement is Web 3.0 world, there can be it is blockchain based social network. Yes, there is a use of blockchain technology in Web 3.0. So this statement is also true. So 1 and 2 is right. Now we have to see the third one. Web 3.0 is operated by users collectively rather than corporation. If you remember, the first one of the remarkable feature of Web 3.0 is the decentralization. Decentralization, obviously people will be controlling it rather than the corporation. So answer for question number 32 is D. D. That is 1, 2 and 3. Okay, got it? So question regarding the answer for Web 3.0 is 1, 2 and 3. Now move to the next one. This is again, I am not boasting anything, I am saying with lot of humility and humbleness, software as a service. Cloud computing has multiple dimensions, one of them is a software as a service. Now software as a service bias, the question is, can customize the user interface. Yes, software as a service allows the customization. Like say for example, you can opt for the storage you want regarding the Dropbox or anything. So customization is an option which is available. First is right. Can access their data through their mobile devices. Yes, it can be accessed through the mobile devices. Mobile devices does not mean only the mobile phone. Okay, Outlook, Hotmail and Yahoo Mail are forms of SaaS. Yes, they are all forms of SaaS. That is software as a service. So basically software as a service, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, function as a service. These are the different dimensions of the cloud computing, and here cloud means the internet. So answer again, just a coincidence, answer is again D. So now don't think that all the questions in science and technology will have D option, correct? So I hope by now you are getting all the questions right. Now again, this was like this question, question number 34 is about fractional orbital bombardment system. Now fractional orbital bombardment, orbit से bombard हो रहा है, इतना अगर आप इसको break down कर लो तो C is the answer. A hypersonic missile is launched into space to counter the asteroid. No sir, bombardment it is talking about. So it is not about obviously asteroid deflection. A spacecraft lands on another planet after making several orbital motions. No, again that is also not bombardment. A missile is put into a stable orbit around the earth and deorbits over a target. Deorbit, bombardment over a target on the earth. So answer is C. Okay. So this was again, this was a factual question. You have very little scope of applying the concept here. But question number 34, fractional orbital bombardment system, the answer is C. Now move further. Question number 35, oh my goodness, it can't get better than this. All of my students must have been jumping with the joy, especially those who are not from science background. Okay, qubit. Qubit means quantum bit, and it is obviously associated with quantum computing. That's it. So answer for 35, B, quantum computing. No scope for explanation. Quantum bits where all the possible combinations can exist simultaneously, like 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, all can exist simultaneously. That is called qubit. Okay, now let's move to the next one. Question number 36 or 37, whatever is the number. Communication technologies. Again, they are talking about short range technology. Short range technology is basically based on Wi-Fi or something like that. Closed circuit television, now short range is somewhere around close to 100-meter range it is having. Anything from obviously few centimeters going to 100 meter, that is short range technology. So CCTV obviously operates in that particular range. Radio frequency operates obviously at a very small range. Wireless local area network, this is bit this third option, the range is somewhere from 50 meter to 150 meter, but as that falls within the 100 meter, so that also obviously is being considered as a short range technology. Short range as like is about up to 100 meters somewhere. So answer for 36 again, D. Move further. Yes. This question is about biofilms. Biofilms like a thin layer which is formed. If you see, like if you put some you know, like a piece of bread with some moisture on it, then you will find after some time does not mean few minutes or few hours, maybe in a day or so, there will be a thin film over there, and that thin film is having obviously microorganisms over there and the chemicals made by those organisms. So that thin layer formed by the accumulation of the microorganisms and the chemicals formed by them over the surface of the food material, over the medical devices, and even over the stagnated water, that is called biofilm. Yes, it can form on medical implants within the human tissues, which can lead to infections, can form on food and food processing services. Yes, there is a bioorganic material. That organic material is being consumed by these bacteria. If there is organic material which is biodegradable, there will always be the scope of the growth of the microorganisms, and in that biofilm antibiotic resistance is being exhibited, because that biofilm will also have the accumulation of the chemicals, and the overexposure to the chemicals in that biofilm obviously over a period of time imparts antibiotic resistance. So here the question for 37, answer is D. Biofilm is having answer D. Good, wonderful. So you got it right. Now move further. COVID-19, oh my goodness, I was jumping with the joy after seeing this question. So pandemic, consider the following statement above are correct. So there are 3 statements, we have to find the correct statement. The Serum Institute of India produced COVID-19 vaccine named Covishield using mRNA. No sir, it is not mRNA platform. It is using viral vector. It is viral vector. So statement 1 is incorrect. So if statement 1 is incorrect, if you know this much, A cannot be the answer, C cannot be the answer, D cannot be the answer. What is left? Only B is left. But again, just for your satisfaction, Sputnik V is manufactured using vector. Yes, it has used the adenovirus. Covaxin is an inactivated pathogen based vaccine. Yes, so second and third are right, and the first is incorrect. First is incorrect. So question number 39, answer is B. Answer is B. Question number 40. Question number 40, solar flare. Again in current affairs program I discussed geomagnetic storm. I did not discuss these many options, but again if you see, this is all about common sense. So GPS and navigation system could fail. Yes, solar flare means the release of charged particles coming from sun. That is called solar flare. So this statement is right, but sir one is available, one to sir isme nahi hai, to isko hata do. Tsunamis could occur at equatorial region. There is no evidence to suggest, because sir or ma'am, those charged particles are not coming to the surface of the earth, they are being deflected by the magnetic field of the earth. And when they are being deflected by the magnetic field of the earth, the tsunami to take place, obviously there has to be some geological phenomenon. And obviously that geological phenomenon is not taking place here, so statement 2 is incorrect. And if statement 2 is incorrect, A cannot be the answer and D cannot be the answer. So answer is C only. Baki power grids, yes, will fail. Intense aurora means that when the charged particles are being reflected by the earth's magnetic field, they will move to the poles and there will be light phenomenon. Okay. Forest fires, when it is not coming to the surface, how come the forest fire? Orbits will be deflected. And short wave radio communication will also get affected. Means all forms of communication systems will get affected, remember one line. Power grids, obviously, again at the end of the day, current, electricity, there will be differences, disturbances. So answer is 40, answer is C. Now question number 69. Non-fungible token, I hope याद है आप लोगों को पढ़ाया था शायद थोड़ा बहुत. Non-fungible token, first and foremost second is right, but sir second C में नहीं है. It is based on blockchain technology, तो C को हटाओ पहले. They enable the digital representation of physical assets. Didn't I told you that Amitabh Bachchan has gone for obtaining non-fungible token for the Madhushala poem written by his father? Okay. This is basically, agar aapko yaad ho, I gave you the example of RC, registration certificate of a vehicle. Like for each vehicle there is a unique registration certificate. Similarly for the art forms which exist in physical form, we issue a unique digital code which is based on blockchain technology. So they represent the digital. So first one is right. When the first one is right, so B cannot be the answer now. So अब हमें सिर्फ देखना है कि third सही होगा कि नहीं होगा. Okay. They can be traded or exchanged at equivalency. Sir, equivalency का मतलब क्या है? कि मैंने आपको ये पेन दिया, उसके बदले में आपने मोबाइल दे दिया मुझको. This is equivalency, barter system जिसको कहते हैं. Obviously, they don't work on the principle of equivalency. Otherwise, market prices keep on improving. So, third statement is wrong. Equivalency पर work नहीं करते. First and second are right. So, answer will be A. देखो change सभी का answer D नहीं है. कि सर D for Delhi लगा दिया. नहीं. A for चलो. Let's move further. So, question number 69. Then obviously move further. Question number 99. बार कोडिंग, डीएनए बार कोडिंग, कॉमन सेंस लगाते ही क्वेश्चन सॉल्व हो जाएगा. डीएनए बार कोडिंग, इट इज वेरी मच लाइक डीएनए फिंगरप्रिंटिंग. बस हाँ, डीएनए बार कोडिंग मीन्स इन द डीएनए ऑफ ईच ऑर्गेनिज्म देयर इज अ स्पेसिफिक रीजन विच इज यूज्ड फॉर आइडेंटिफाइंग देम. बस इसी को कहते हैं ना डीएनए फिंग. इट इज लाइक दैट बार कोडिंग विच इज देयर ऑन द बुक्स और एनी आइटम, है ना. तो वो उसको डीएनए बार कोडिंग. व्हेन यू आर लुकिंग टू यूज इट फॉर बायोलॉजिकल ऑर्गेनिज्म, डीएनए बार कोडिंग. अब प्लास्टिक की बोतल है, उस पे आपने सॉफ्ट ड्रिंक लिया, उस पे लाइनें खिंची रहती है, वो बार कोडिंग होगी. इस वो क्या है उसका, दैट इज द यूनिक आइडेंटिफिकेशन ऑफ दैट प्रोडक्ट. सिमिलरली ईच लिविंग ऑर्गेनिज्म आल्सो हैव अ यूनिक आइडेंटिफिकेशन, दैट इज डीएनए बार कोडिंग. कॉमन सेंस लगाते, इट विल नेवर बी एबल टू हेल्प यू इन असेसिंग द एज. तो एज बाहर हो गई, तो ये बाहर हो गए. डिस्टिंग्विश अमंग स्पीशीज, यूनिकनेस पता चल रही है. दे माइट लुक अलाइक, like a Siberian tiger and Indian tiger, they might look alike, but एक exist करता है in the coldest part of the world and another exists in the humid part of the world. तो वो देखने में एक से लग रहे हैं. तो statement 2 is right. तो सर फिर 1 is wrong, 2 is right. तो ये भी अब सर identify undesirable animal or plant material. Yes, in processed foods. Processed foods means market से आ रहा है. GM प्रोडक्ट्स का हम पता लगा सकते हैं थ्रू डीएनए बार कोडिंग से. सो आंसर इज डी, 2 and 3. दैट्स इट. So this was my humble, task for you people on this day. I will not take any further time of yours. Okay. I just wish you all the best, and if I could be of any help to you in your course of preparation, I will be more than happy. Okay, all the best. See you when you will be writing your mains in the month of September. Thank you very much for your patience and your presence. Thank you.
Hello everyone. I hope your exam went very well, especially in the science portion. The questions which Ayaz sir just discussed, they were very simple, and I am sure that if you have attended the classes, then you would have easily solved the science questions. These were lollipops, like you would have just guessed them and you would have got easy marks. So at least 10 marks you can get easily. And from general science, we have seen in the last few years, UPSC is focusing more upon biology part. In the last year also it has asked one question on biology. This year also it has asked a similar type of question. It is regarding the B cells and the T cells. Now, why this question was asked? This question was asked because B cells and T cells, they are part of the immune system. So, immune system was in news because of the COVID-19. Last 2 years, from 2020 itself, we have seen COVID. That is a big pandemic, and immunity was in news. So B cells and T cells are the part of the immune system, and they help us to protect from the pathogens. Okay. Now, the question is, if you only know this, that B and T cells are part of the immune system and they kill the pathogens, they protect us from the pathogens, then you can answer this question. But there is a certain depth to the question. There is a certain depth. B cell and T cell are a type of white blood cells. You must have a basic understanding that in our body there is the white blood cells which are immune cells. Okay. Immune cells are of different types. White blood cells are of different types. B cells and T cells, these are the lymphocytes. These are lymphocytes. They are responsible for acquired immunity. Okay. We have discussed this in the class. Immunity is of two types. One is the adaptive or acquired immunity, one is the innate immunity. Innate immunity is always on in the body. It is not specific to particular antigen, that is particular pathogen, and acquired immunity, it is specific to a particular pathogen. So lymphocytes are a part of the acquired immune system, and B cells and T cells, they specifically kill the particular pathogen. For example, B cell and T cell. B cell is responsible for producing antibodies. They produce antibodies, and therefore B cells are responsible for humoral mediated immunity. Humoral means antibody. It is basically related to the fluid, blood fluid part. So B cell produce antibody, and they are responsible for antibody mediated immunities, and T cell, they are responsible for cell mediated immunity. Okay. So basically B cell produce antibodies. These antibodies latch on to the antigens, and then other macrophages, for example monocytes, these are another type of white blood cells, they come and they destroy the antigen. Okay. On the other hand, T cells come into the picture when the antigen are infecting, when they infect a particular cell. So when a cell is infected, then the T cells play their role. So they kill the cells which are infected, and they kill the B cell, they kill the antigen before it has infected the cell. So these two kill the pathogens. Therefore this is the correct option. This is another type of white blood cells which is called as eosinophil and basophil. Okay, we have covered this in the class. Those of you who have basophil. Those of you who have attended the class, they must have covered this, eosinophil and basophil. These are responsible for allergic reactions, and this part is related to the innate immune system. So we have covered this also in the class. So like I said, the question is very simple, but there is a certain depth to it. We have covered it in the class also, and this answer will be D. Okay. This is the simple question from general science. I hope you have done it correctly, and I wish you all the best for the other exams also. Thank you everyone. Thank you.
Good evening everyone. So myself is Dutt and I'll be discussing few of the remaining questions. I know it has been a hectic day for you all. So you guys have been giving 2 papers since morning, and now only 3 questions are left, and we'll be taking hardly a few minutes and we'll be covering those questions. Right, so there has been a lot of questions in current affair this time, but as most of the questions have already been discussed in their respective subjects, so there are few like miscellaneous kind of questions that has been there, and we are going to discuss it. So let's start with question number 4. The question number 4 basically discusses with reference to the G20 common framework, consider the following statement. Now why the question on G20 common framework? This G20 common framework has been there in the news from past 1 year. For completely 1 year it has been there. Actually it is more than 1 year it has been there in the news. Why it has been there in the news? Because of the COVID, there are many low income economies which have been facing the issue of debt. As you guys must have recently heard about Sri Lanka. Then there has been news with respect to Nepal and many other countries that they are also facing the similar kind of situation. Right, so G20 countries with the help of the Paris Club, they have started this G20 common framework. This common framework is beyond your debt service suspension initiative, that is your DSSI. Right, so debt service suspension initiative was an initiative of whom? It was an initiative of your Paris Club. Who are these countries in the Paris Club? Basically Paris Club is a very elite club, nothing more than that. It is a rich countries. These are the rich countries which basically provide most of the external debt to the low income countries. Right, so under this only, like the first statement is it is an initiative endorsed by the G20 together with Paris Club. So as you can see here, it is already written G20 common framework. So obviously G20 is there. So the only thing that is required to know in this question is that it is an initiative with Paris Club, right? So if you know that it is an initiative with Paris Club, then the statement 1 is correct. Then if you move to the next statement, it is an initiative to support low income countries with unsustainable debt. Again, as we have just discussed, that yes, this initiative is for the same purpose, that is for the low income countries which are not able to sustain their external debt, right? So they will be providing some extra debt apart from the DSSI, right? So the answer will be C over here, that is both the statement 1 and 2 are correct. Now moving to the next question, that is the second last question of your paper, that is consider the following statements BD is a large refugee settlement in northwestern Kenya. Now look into this question. Basically this question is talking about the two different refugee camps which are like the world's largest refugee camps that exist, and basically the help is being provided by the UNHCR. But the problem with this question is that it was not there in the current, right? To be honest, it was not there in the current, although I'm just taking it in the segment of current affairs, but it was not there. So it has been there in the news in 2017-18, but not frequently in the news after that, and the question was there. So again, it is a very factual in nature, and if you know it, you know it. If you don't know it, you don't know it. So either you skip it or you attempt it, and you can attempt it only when you know the question. So the first thing is BD is a large refugee settlement in the northwestern Kenya. So this statement is wrong. But why this statement is wrong? It is a large refugee camp, that is correct, but it is not located in Kenya, right? So it is located in Uganda. Then if you look into the second statement, some people who fled from southern Sudanian civil war live in BD. That statement is correct. Basically, it is a refugee camp, one of the world's largest refugee camp, which has a population of around 2,70,000 people. And now basically the talks are going on to convert this camp into a big city, right? And it has the people who have fled from the civil war that was happening in the South Sudan. So this statement too is correct. Then if you look at the second statement, then it is also one of the largest refugee camp they are talking about. That is the refugee camp, and the name is Dadaab, right? So the refugee camp is Dadaab, and it has the refugees which has fled from Somalia, and it is located in Kenya. So all the facts that are given, but there are multiple facts that are given in this statement, and again, as I am saying, it's a very factual question. So you have to know that Dadaab, first of all, what is this Dadaab? It's a refugee camp. Where it is in Kenya. And who are the refugees that are there? These are the people from Somalia that have migrated to this place, right? So if you know both the statements, then only you can reach to the answer, and the answer will be again C, that is 2 and 3, right? Then moving to the last question for the day, and this is a very simple current affair based question. These are the terms, these are the places that you see in the newspaper continuously every other day, right? Anatolia. Why Anatolia is there in the news? As you all know, there has been a crisis that is going on, especially in the region of Russia and Ukraine. And there is a reason, Turkey, that is there because of the Black Sea, which becomes very important. Apart from that, recently it was there in the news. Why it was there in the news? Basically, we are connecting our own Vedic tradition with that of the Anatolia. So it is the Turkey older name also, but at present when we talk about Anatolia, then Anatolia is nothing but the Asia Minor. We call it as what? We call it as Asia Minor. Why we call it as Asia Minor? The reason is very simple. It is the peninsular region which lies in the Asian region. Basically, Turkey is a country which has a portion that is lying in the European region and a portion that is lying in the Asian region. So the peninsula which lies in the Asian region is basically known as Anatolia, and it is correctly matched. So it is matched with Turkey. Then the second region, Amhara region. Amhara region, it was again there in the news recently. There has been mass arrest that has been made in the Amhara region. It is located where? It is located in Ethiopia only, right? So even the second is also correct, and it was frequently there in the newspapers. Then if you talk about the third match, that is Cabo Delgado. Cabo Delgado has been made famous. Why? It has been made famous due to the IS. Right now it is not that in the news, but it is a very oil rich place that is located in Mozambique, right? So it is located in Mozambique and not Spain, right? So this is correct, wrong. Then if you move to the last pair, that is Catalonia. Catalonia, you all must be aware about it, you must have read it in your static, it is there in the current affairs. There has been a discussion about the Catalonia all the time because it is a place located in Spain where they want to have a separate, or basically to bifurcate Spain into the region of Catalonia, which is belonging to the rich peoples, right? So it is not Italy, it is in Spain. But the interesting part that what has UPSC done in this year is, instead of asking which of the pairs is correct, they are asking how many pairs are correct. So you cannot easily eliminate. Even if you know that one is correct, you cannot find an option. Only one pair is correct, 2 is correct, 3 is correct, all 4 are correct. So again, if you have just identified one, you cannot eliminate a single option. Then you come to the second. Even if you know the second, you are not aware that, okay, I can eliminate one, but I don't know if it is 2, 3 or 4, right? So these are the tougher questions that UPSC has changed something, especially in the art and culture, and this question also. So these are the questions, and the answer will be, again, only 2 pairs are correct, so the answer will be B over here, right? So I hope this, basically you guys have calculated your marks by now, and it was a good exam for you all, and even if it was not for someone, then I would request you to just start preparing for your mains. Take a break for a few days, maybe a week, and then start your journey, start preparing for your mains, even if the prelims is not getting cleared. And if it is getting cleared, then there is no other choice, right? We are going to prepare for the mains. So thank you all. Have a great night. Thank you again.